For the 20th century, every decade pretty much had an ism.
I need to brush up on my isms.
Hey, yo, it's ism, get the money. Yeah, it's ism, get the money.
Ideologies are always really kind of difficult because they're ideas, they're different ways of looking at the world, and they all end in ism, and isms are intimidating. So today, let me see if I can help you understand the isms.
Yeah. One time, I thought I told you, nigga. Niggas know a nigga about his isms.
Isms have done so much damage, but people still believe in them.
Talking shit, I might just have to get him. Bitch, I got that flow, I got that wisdom. Bitch, say no to me, I'm Mr. Ism.
I hereby turn over to Ism Incorporated everything I have, including my freedom and the freedom of my children and my children's children, in return for which said Ism promises to take care of me forever.
Isms nigga. Thought I told you I'ma have to get him, nigga. Oh, bitch, I got that flow, I got that wisdom. Bitch, say no to me, I'm Mr. Ism.
Isms, in my opinion, are not good. A person should not believe in an ism. He should believe in himself.
And not be clouded with the great isms.
Bitch! What the fuck?
Now you about to fucking lose it. Woo. Niggas know a nigga about his isms. Talking shit, I might just have to get him. Bitch, I got that flow, I got that wisdom. Bitch, say no to me, I'm Mr. Ism. Isms nigga. Thought I told you I'ma have to get him, nigga. Oh, bitch, I got that flow, I got that wisdom. Bitch, say no to me, I'm Mr. Ism.
I was like, you get your ass off my channel.
Oh, I forgot. Crap. Give me a second. I get caught up in the music. My bad, y'all. Give me a second. I'm lost in the brand. I'm lost in the world. Okay, wait. That right? Okay. All right. Okay. The symmetry was throwing me off. Symmetry was just throwing me off. I'm sorry. I need to get the one that's more symmetrical. That asymmetrical one like this, I don't know why, but it annoys me. I like it more symmetrical like this one. Closer. I don't know. Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Critically Drinking. I think y'all know who I am. I am your humble, your very meek dime, the most amazing man on earth. We are about that ism. We about that ism, boss. What's up, Yellow Peel Coffee in the building? We got Innate in the building. Happy Labor Day to you all. Hopefully nobody has to work today. Hopefully you all got the day off. Hopefully labor got to rest today. Bree was here, but I guess she had to step off for a minute. She'll be back. We, as you see on the thumbnail, and the title, we are going to be talking about something. It might be a little controversial. We'll see. I did not have a strong opinion about it at first, but we'll see how it goes. We got Apex in the building, Mr. Merry Man in the building. He's coming up soon. Oh man, but congratulations, man. Good to see you, Apex. Man, can't wait. Man, pineapples. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about this in a hot second. But I did want to acknowledge something. I was late doing stuff last night, and I saw Ty Libra stream. Why did that go so?
Why?
You know what I'm saying?
Why we so big face ass Kim?
Like, yeah, man. Yeah, what's up? Welcome back. I saw Ty Libra stream last night. And Bree, did you see the lady that got hit in the face with the brick?
Yeah, I did. Not on Ty stream, but It came up on
But you
TikTok.
had heard about it.
Yeah.
I hope this triggers motherfuckers. That's what's up. What's up, Quantum? Good to see you. Good to see you. I saw that, man. She got lumped up pretty bad, and I was like,
yeah.
I heard what Ty was saying. I have not heard anybody talking about that yet, really.
Yeah.
Which is kind of strange, because I mean,
do we know much about the story? Because
no,
I haven't seen much besides. She
seen
had a video at the place, like talking to the men around, and they was like, "What are we supposed to do?" You know, I saw that. That's the only other information I saw.
Yeah. But I do have to admit, man, I knew it was sometime last year when I was listening to the Manosphere stuff. I'm like, man, it's going to get bad. Now I don't know. Again, I don't know what happened.
Right.
But I can't imagine anything
was warranting hitting somebody
a brick, a woman hitting a woman upside the head with a brick. Like,
I don't know. I just
spit in your face.
Like I want more details too about like, did she just stand there and eat that brick to the face? Like, did he throw it?
Know.
Did she like run? Like, was he chasing her? Because you ain't gonna just walk up to me with a brick. Yeah, I'm gonna still be talking to you like, you better not hit me with that brick. I'm running. Yeah. So I'm wondering also what not to say she should have had to do anything, but of course, just like when we talked about this other situation, like there's feeling like someone should not hit you in the face with a brick, and then there's being faced with the reality that somebody about to hit you in the face with a brick.
Yeah, and
you better run. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I feel you. I would like more details because man, I've seen so much out of everybody that I don't trust anything anymore.
Right.
But I just can't see a reason for a guy, especially to use even if it was a physical altercation.
Just crazy. Yeah. I mean, that nigga was crazy, clearly.
Check her up a little bit. Like,
I mean, that person was mentally unstable. You know what I'm saying? And that's why for me, I don't typically argue much with strangers. I'm not going to stand my ground much with strangers because people out here crazy, like for real crazy. Like they should be on medication. Facts. They be hallucinating. They be hearing voices. Like it's some legit crazy people out here. You don't really know what kind of person you're dealing with. So I don't know.
Yeah. Now without knowing too much, I will always side on the fact that there's very few reasons to ever hit a woman. I mean, I can't imagine she was trying to stab him. You know what I'm saying? Like she coming at you with a knife or something. I mean, but that's so rare.
But that's so rare. The person crazy.
Yeah. We'll go with I don't even want to go crazy. He might have been fully sane. I think
anger issues.
I think people just
something
have
wrong.
Anger issues.
Something wrong.
There's a lack of human. I think people just don't see other people as humans anymore. There's a lot of that going around. What's up, Summer? Glad to have you home. Yeah, like your voices tell you to leave your husband.
Right.
I'm always too busy to even stop and acknowledge strangers. Everybody's so busy.
I know.
So busy.
But
happy Labor Day to y'all. I know I'd heard about that, and I was like,
Labor Day. What's Labor Day for now?
The labor movement in the United States. You know, the fight for unions and fair wages and safety and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's clear she's from the hood. And most hood people aren't mentally stable. It could have been he was around his boys and men.
Yeah, mob mentality. You know how they
mob mentality is never good. Mob mentality is never good.
People get bold and perform in front of their friends, like putting on for the group. You know, she embarrassed them in front of a bunch of dudes. It's Brie. She forgot. Okay. No, I'm saying like what?
Labor.
The original
and delivery.
That's the only labor. Labor delivery, like Labor Day, like birth. I don't know.
Work, sweat.
I'm sure it's from like factory workers back in the day, right? They like got this day off. Is that? I'm saying like the origins of this day, like what?
Oh well, let me just pull it up.
I never really thought about it too much. It had to be from when people worked in factories and stuff.
Yeah, 1800s. Labor Day was first celebrated unofficially by labor activists in individual states in the late 1800s, according to the U.S. Department of Labor. New York was the first state to introduce a bill recognizing Labor Day, but Oregon was actually the first to codify it into law. Let me see. Holiday developed as unions were beginning to strengthen again after the 1870s recession. Let me see. Yeah, but there's like a couple of labor unions. Central Labor Union. I'm getting all the pop-ups now. Block. No, thank you. Ooh, there was a labor convention. The parade fell on a Tuesday at the start of September, and many workers weren't unable to attend. So the convention was a huge success, and unions around the country started holding their own labor celebrations at the start of September, usually the first Monday of the month. So it was like a labor convention.
See, now we know. That's what I meant. I didn't know. Like, I know what Labor Day is, but I just didn't know where it came from. It's always
I purposefully pretend to be busy in my phone when I'm out. A lot of people do. I'm good. No eye contact, and I'm walking fast as fuck. Like I got somewhere to be. Knowing you ain't got nowhere to be but right here. That's right. Where you like, labor? What does that do? They take Amex?
Right. Work is for poors.
Work is for the poors. Absolutely.
No, it's not.
Care for y'all.
Speaking of, husband working right now, so y'all might hear him talking in the background.
That's what's up. Get that coin. Get that coin, King. Get that coin. Now, I want to... I remember trying to pull the video off my laptop. That was struggle. Let me get the link. That might be better.
I was gonna say I got a new computer and some good internet.
Yay.
I can play the video.
Okay.
I can play the
I'll send
video.
you the link.
Yeah, send me. Where you gonna send it to? Can you put it in private chat?
Yeah.
Links work in private chat?
I don't know.
I guess we're gonna find out.
We better find out. Let me sign in. Boom, boom, boom. Da 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 da. Where's the link? Copy link. Cool. All right. Private chat. This is just something I kind of cobbled together. So you can just pause it as you see fit. I guess we'll start on this side of things.
Look, my light is in the way. I gotta.
Of course.
Gotta work.
New PC. Who this?
New PC. Who this? Okay. It was a nice surprise.
Off is better than having a Friday off. That's debatable.
I say having all the days off is great.
Yeah, she could just copy it from private chat. It ain't got to be clickable, but you know, Bree got to be extra because she doesn't know what labor is. Having to copy and paste is.
Don't be mad at me because I won't accept y'all slave labor mentality. Y'all. So you want me to add it to the stream now?
We can. Let's see. Yeah, go ahead. We'll go ahead.
I like how you ain't answering. I just clicked it. Okay.
I mean, you know, you do what you want anyway.
So tell me when to pause it, okay? Or do I need to skip to any particular? I see it's very short. It's like 7 minutes. So.
Yeah. So
you just play it. Okay.
Yeah, just play it.
I'm dead. Thank you. I got you on video saying that too. Let something happen to me. Look at you. Look at you. Look at you. Look at you. Look at you, bro. Why would I fight you? Why would I fight you, bro? Come on, why? That's my wife. Is it? But you put our stuff outside.
So he said, "That's my wife." So we just gonna, you know.
That's right.
This situation right here is absolutely crazy.
It's pink book
but
lessons.
It's more common than people would like to admit. I'm talking about the toxic mother that won't accept the fact that her son is not her husband. Some of you men out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's also some of you women out there, y'all know exactly who I'm talking about.
She wasn't no fucking stripper. She wasn't no stripper. Move. I'm not gonna touch you. Wait in the car.
I'm not, bro. Our stuff is
Yeah, wait in the car.
I'm not, though. My stuff is here and I'm getting my stuff. Get your But I'm not, though. But I'm not, though.
Chris Classic in the building.
My stuff is here.
Not toxic yet.
What did I do to you? 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 What did I do? I want to see your dirty ass. Oh, and my man, my son. Your
I see Bree's face.
Wait a damn minute.
Get ready to pause it in a second. She's gonna play it back.
What did You're mad? You mad?
All right now, bad baby. You better
Good
leave that
pause
lady
there.
alone by her man.
Okay. Wow. Freudian
Yeah,
slip
yeah.
there. A little Freudian slip.
Yeah. So, wait a minute. I see she got in that car fast though. Man, you bet her get in that car fast because my mama was on her. Mama walked up on the car. So I mean, Mama was heated. Mama was heated. His wife was. They were trying to pick up their stuff.
It just looked like, if I was just looking from the outside, it just looked like two women fighting over a dude.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't have that information, I'd been like, them two women fighting over a nigga.
Mm-hmm. Two women fighting over is giving that energy. What's up, Dawn Frank in the building? Hello.
Ain't no
So
way.
I'm seeing a mom who looks like she owns her own house, clean house. It's clear the mom doesn't like the girl for a reason. That girl is a threat to her son's well-being. You think she's a?
I know you're lying.
The mom thinks that the woman's a threat to the son's well-being.
Of course, because that's her man.
Yeah, Von Eric in the building. What is up, Von Eric? Appreciate.
Because that's her man. That's why the wife a threat.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, forgive my manners. Good afternoon, Anania. Stop it. That's all professional.
Hey,
but
Anania.
yeah, man, that was clear. And Anania, did I greet you? Hello, Anania.
Yeah, I didn't.
And listen, real quick before we dive back into that, we had a great game the other day, man. So thank you, Bree. Yella's in the chat. Anae's in the chat.
Glad Anae made it out of hell in one piece.
Man, we had so much fun. We had so much fun. So thank all of y'all because that was a blast.
Yeah, that was fun.
I really appreciate that. Your son is not your king, yeah? Your son is not your king, yeah?
It's too many women who subbing out the other people for their kids. Notice I said kids. I didn't just say sons because the girls be getting it too.
Yeah, we got some of that too. I got quite a few things. So I thought we start there, and I'm like, wow. She's ready to fight his wife. She's walking up on her,
right?
Which to me is disrespectful. Like you're disrespecting me as a man also to walk. If my girlfriend walks up on my mother or my wife walks up on my mother, like ready to fight, that's disrespectful to me. And vice versa. If my mother does that to my wife or girlfriend, I'm going to take that as disrespect. I would expect to be the person, and I know this is patriarchal, that I would expect to be the go-between. If y'all have a conflict and y'all are hostile, or if you feel like it's to the point of a fight, I need to mediate.
But he doesn't have that capacity because that's his mama. So she acting like that.
Oh.
And he probably was raised. I'm not saying he don't have the capacity, but if that's his mom, I'm just thinking that he's, that's his role to some degree when it comes to her. Like, you know what I mean? Like she is like this. So where would he have learned the tools to stand his ground, to enforce boundaries, have boundaries? Like where would he have gotten the space to learn those skills if this same woman who is acting like this is actually his mom? Because he wouldn't have had room to really learn that. And if he jumped right into another relationship and got married to a woman who is also like his mom, you know what I mean?
So mad you said jump right into another relationship as if he monkey branched from mom. The way you phrased it just sounded very, very.
And that's what happens. You know what I mean? You don't have space to grow outside of a relationship. You just leave your relationship with your mom.
I mean,
in this guy's case,
loaded language.
It's very loaded on purpose. Because a lot of people transfer their relationships with their parents onto their partners, especially if you leave home and immediately get into a long-term relationship. You're gonna just transfer a lot of that.
Man, it's not patriarchy. He's just unaware of things. If you know your mom doesn't like your wife and your wife doesn't like your mom, why do you have them in proximity? I mean, I can't imagine. Like this is what people say. Like people don't expect a relationship to fail. I really can't imagine that he thought his mom was gonna try to fight his girlfriend. They were supposed to be picking up their stuff or something because he heard like
they was living with her at some point because they stuff
at some point.
Yeah,
and they're picking up their stuff. So I mean, if they both have stuff to pick up, I could see taking your partner. I could see not thinking it was going to turn into a fight. All the fights that happened in my family, I never thought there were going to be a fight that day. We all thought everything was going to be cool until it wasn't. So,
and why would you only go buy your stuff to pick up stuff? Like, Yeah, I think it
especially if
makes
the other
sense.
person got stuff too. Yeah, so
Right. Yeah.
man, I do want to just briefly acknowledge Anae's sus comment of the day. Yellow Pill Coffee Co. I know how to take you down. And I'm like, okay. I like Yellow Pill's good, honest, wholesome Christian interpretation.
You can't stop
can't
this
stop my salvation.
salivation. His Slavin.
Oh, I read that all wrong. Oh, they're both on Demon Time. Okay.
That's why I was just thinking Chris Brown take you down, and now he's somebody you can't stop his
you can't
salivation.
stop my salivation. Okay.
Y'all nasty.
I can't deal with
y'all
y'all.
nasty.
If there was tension, I would not have brought her. If there was immediate tension, I probably wouldn't have brought her either. I do think there was probably some dynamic like that. So he didn't know any better. Like Apex said, he didn't know any better. You said he didn't have room to grow into that role because there's no way.
Why would he? Why would he have those skills? Yeah, why would he have those skills? Like, it's easy to say what somebody should have done, but it's like, let's be realistic.
Yeah.
You know, that's his mom. Like, why would he have those skills?
Yeah, I don't know. I had to learn them. I had to learn them like on the fly. I had to learn them on the fly. Mrs. Queen's son kissed in the building. First time seeing you, but hello, greetings. I know I had to learn them on the fly because my older sister was literally. I was in a situation. My older sister did not like my girlfriend at the time. My girlfriend, I guess, came into the house. She didn't feel like she needed to speak every time I see you. You know, we kind of had that thing like every time we come into a room, certain people want to say hello. Like even if we go from room to room and migrate together, like from like 3 or 4 streams together, we're saying hey every single time, and then we're in Discord and we're saying hey again, like that phenomenon. So every time my girlfriend came around,
I hate that phenomenon.
Yeah,
I don't do it.
So come in, and then like maybe you go out to the store and then you come back in, like you got to say hello again. So my girlfriend was like not on that. I see you every day. I see you multiple times a day. I'm not saying hey all the time.
Right.
So she comes in, she's not speaking. My sister gets heated about that. We have conversations about it. Then finally one day she's like, "Yeah, you gotta keep not speaking, blah blah blah." So she walked up on my girl, and I'm like, "Okay, you about to try to fight her in front of me? So now you're gonna have to fight me to get to her. Like you're gonna have to literally fight me to get to her because now you're disrespecting me."
Right.
For you to try to fight her in front of me is saying you're such a punk. I can beat her in front of you, and you're not gonna do or say anything.
Did she swing on you?
Oh no. That wouldn't have worked out well. That wouldn't have worked out well. I think like the son, I don't think she thought I would stand up.
Right. Yeah.
Because my older sister is a lot like that. Yeah. But there's somebody I care about here. And there, I don't know if I'm not gonna say it's instinctive or whatever. But I knew I couldn't hold that L. That's not something I could have just stood and let happen.
Right.
And maybe I don't know how much younger he was than I was when this happened, but I instinctively knew, like, I can't let my sister punk me out in this moment.
Right.
I just not and still have a relationship with this woman. It's not going to happen. So I wish he knew. I wish he had felt that.
I mean, he obviously knew how to put himself in between the two of them. I think that's instinctual. But as far as the other smaller stuff, like reading the energy and like, why would he know how to do that? Yeah. Some of those soft skills to avoid confrontation or de-escalation techniques. Well, why would he know that? If this is mama, there's no way he knows that. Her life is in escalation. So that means he was raised in escalation. Why would he know how to de-escalate? He wouldn't.
Well, he probably wouldn't. If she's overbearing, he wouldn't know how to. Yeah. But that would actually be his role. His role would be the de-escalator. Like his role, like that'd be like like that complementary energy. His role would be like either the enabler or the person who like try to let me hold your stuff while you're fighting.
This would make it complicated though, because now it's his wife and his mom. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think he would have the skills for this particular dynamic. I think he's used to being her like passive sidekick, like, okay, mom, chill out, you know, like that. But
hold my bag.
Yeah, but now it's your wife, and if your wife got that same energy, then you know.
And that was the thing. And she was going word for word with mom too. And I'm like, there's no way I could have allowed that and still had a relationship with either person. Like, but y'all,
that's what he used to.
You're indicting me. Like, you're indicting me at this point. Both of them.
He used to.
Are indicting me.
He went and found somebody just like his mama. So
man, that's sad. but we find a way to act out the patterns from our childhood. So
Yep.
Man.
Yeah,
and Nay, yes, you do love that phenomenon.
Some people do. I don't know why, but
you and Anaya.
Anaya,
I'm like, we just left this stream together, and it's 2 minutes later on Bree's stream now, and you're like, hey, Rashad. I'm like, hey, did we walk over together? Like, didn't we literally just walk here together?
Yeah. That's not. I'm not that person.
People do that shit at work and say, hey, every time we pass you, hey.
I had a lady in
hey,
public say hey to me 4 times. Like every time she passed me on the aisle, she was working there. So you get used to greeting people as you walk by. How you doing? How you doing? She greeted me 4 times. I'm like, she really ain't paying no attention. Cause she greeted me 4 times. Attention. And you can't miss me. I wear a lot of pink. I had this shirt on. I had sparkly Crocs. I had pink pants on. You can't, I'm not dressed like, and I had pink hair. So I'm like, I don't know how you greeting the person with pink hair. You just think you just got this many pink hair people in your store. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Apex says, I never thought that because when I say stop, everyone better stop. Or I'll show everyone I can overmatch whatever energy is given. I like that. Yeah, I just greet everyone at once, and that's that. Yeah. I get you in there. I get you. I'm just making fun of you a little bit because you and y'all both have that like sweet spirit, and y'all greet everybody every time, everywhere. Well, everywhere, was it some all at once? Everything, everywhere, all
everything, everywhere, all at once. I like people like that because I am not that person.
We need some sweet people.
As y'all have found out, the world full of people like me.
Oh, she caught me.
Listen, she came up to say y'all.
She caught me.
If everybody had my kind of energy and Rashawn energy, I don't think the world would be as pleasant to be in.
Yeah, that's facts. I'm gonna tell you though, Inya is so sweet that she actually has quinoa that she talks to pleasantly every day.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
that's the literal thing. She has quinoa that she talks to nicely, and is monitoring its progress. How is the positivity in speaking to quinoa positively affecting?
But I'm just wondering how mean she spoke to the mean quinoa because I just can't even imagine it.
I can't imagine.
Probably like you not perfectly round quinoa grains. Like, what do you say?
You're
like
you're just not rice. You're just not rice at all, are you?
You would never be rice. You're what would you say?
Duri Meta in the building. That is a good question. And y'all, what did you say to the quinoa that you were trying to speak negatively to? Because I can't imagine you did that successfully. I bet you delegated to the kids.
Now, let me or Yellowhead talk to that quinoa, Rashawn. That quinoa would have been darker than night.
Man.
Every get some hatred energy on it real good.
Yeah. I do wonder what, because I can't imagine y'all saying anything too negative.
Yeah. Well, an interesting one would be talk to the quinoa like black moms talk to their kids.
Ooh, that quinoa would turn into maggots.
And then do like gentle parenting, speaking to the other quinoa. That would be a good one.
Just Andre in the building. Hello, good to see you. Y'all know she didn't cuss. We know she didn't cuss. She said, "I said you're disgusting, and I hate you." Said I hate you to the quinoa.
Wow. Did you get how you said it though? Because I feel like
she probably covered her mouth after she said it, and then asked for forgiveness.
I was just playing quinoa. I was just playing.
That is hilarious.
I see the truth on that. Yeah.
I wish, because my quinoa would be dark as I don't know the scenes in this curtain.
The quinoa.
Man, the quinoa would be getting it. Quinoa, everybody I didn't say nothing to would be getting it. I'm so sick of yo. Beep, 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 beep,
just let it out. Just vent to the
man. As a prince, King Charles used to swear by talking to his plants for better growth and health.
Apparently, when you speak nicely to plants, they grow better. That is, and if you speak to them like negative, they don't grow as well. It is true.
Yeah. And I mean, that seems to be going back to, I guess, the son husband thing. I mean, treating your children positively and negatively seems to have a similar effect.
Do you think a son husband is a positive thing or negative?
Oh, no, that's a negative. Oh, that's definitely a negative.
I was just curious.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I think that the dysfunction, I don't think it just ekes out in one way. I think that's the pattern. Thinking I put quinoa in the garbage. You don't like quinoa? Fake account. Good to see you. Never seen you. Seen lots of fake accounts, but never yours. Good to see you. Good to see you.
The fake
couple newbies popping through today. Yeah, got a fake account. But if you could, Bree, let's pull back up the son husband and go a little bit further in that one, because we got a couple more pieces.
It's saying it's still up here. Is it?
Oh, it sure is. My bad.
Okay.
She said you a dirty 304 and you don't do nothing for her man. His mama is crazy. She tried to clean up and say, I mean, my son. No, you meant right the first time. That's your man.
A lot of parents and their kids, and we're gonna be honest, within the Black community.
And shout out to Sun Kiss Fitness, another Sun Kiss. Appreciate you.
A lot of women have kids and will hang on to them kids for dear life because, like, you're how I get my validity. Ain't nothing else in my life done went right except y'all. I'm doing the best I can do for y'all, and y'all doing good, and that is where I get my validity from.
I've seen that. Yep.
And they can't let go. That'll cripple you because now you feeling pressure. Especially as men, as young men, you feeling pressure to be your mama's man and her son. So now when I leave the house, now I can't even bond with other women the way that I want to because I don't want to make my mama mad, or I don't want to, make my mama feel like I'm just neglecting her to go be with this new situation. When in reality, that type of responsibility should have never been placed on your shoulders to begin with.
It's a male child who basically
this is O'Shea.
That reminded me of Marlon Wayans said he never got married because of his mom.
Yes, Marlon Wayans did say that. Now I don't understand. I don't understand allowing the relationship to your mother to inhabit such a large role in your life that you can't function in a relationship if you desire that. I don't that boggles my mind. But when I heard him say that, I was shocked.
Really?
Like, how can your mother? I'm gonna tell you. Excuse me. I had that issue come up, but when it was brought to my attention, I immediately recognized it. Like, I was a person that I was groomed. I came up in that house like, oh boy, like the son husband. I mean, not my mother. I wasn't a son husband, but my family dynamic was all consuming. Everybody always needed all the time. They were always around. Everybody kind of lived in proximity. So it was very involved and it was dysfunctional. So my girl at the time was like, you always run out to handle their emergencies and stuff. You always jump to, the beat. I'm always dancing to the beat of their drum, essentially. Like, as soon as they say, oh, I got something going on, I jump to it. And it took me away from her. And she brought that up. And I was like, oh, shoot, I didn't really consider that. And it took me some time to adjust because we were really, our family, I'd been groomed in that situation. Well, if somebody has an emergency, everybody has to jump to it. But it's the same people always having emergencies. So at some point, it's like, they got to pass that. They have to take responsibility for their own emergency. So I had to quit accepting people's house keys because they lose their keys and I got to take their key to them, or they, what I'm saying? All that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay. And it took me some time. Alonzo Hall, good to see you, sir. Appreciate you. It took me some time, but I was like, for the sake of having an adult relationship, I had to separate myself from the responsibility of other adults who weren't taking care of their business. And I was like, I don't understand being especially Marlon Wayans, who's more successful. He still
I'm not surprised. Maybe as a woman, that's why I'm not surprised.
Why?
I mean, you did, because if you date one of these guys, I mean, you know exactly why what he's saying is true. Because, my husband had a friend, and his mom and his girlfriend, they hate each other. And I've always had the spiritual idea that if someone's trying to embody the same energy, then they're going to naturally feel like competitors. And so, yeah, I think it happens a lot. And because there's a lack of boundaries and healthy relationship there, a lot of people think it's normal. But, when I was single, I dated, not for long, guys who had, I feel like, very inappropriate relationships with their mom. And I'm not one to fight nobody. So you and your mama can have it. But I definitely ran across them. And I have a male friend who maybe two male friends. Me and my husband have a lot of mutual friends because we game. And two of them definitely deal with it a lot.
To what degree, are you noticing it? Are they aware of the dynamic with their mother and the attachment?
I don't think they realize the part they play in it. I think they know their mom has this issue with the women they bring around, and they know, it's triggering for problems with them. But I don't think most men don't really, they're not just sitting there really like thinking about like, why is this dynamic and how am I contributing to it? That's something that you would have to unpack. Especially if you were raised in that environment, you would probably need therapy or something just to notice the pattern to be able to like unpack it and fix it. So I just don't think most people, especially if we're talking about your mom here, they think it's normal. Like my mom tripping, my mom crazy. I just be arguing with my mom sometimes, and they just kind of accept it as their reality because, they just kind of, so I think they know that it's toxic, but I don't think they realize they're a part of the dynamic just as much. And like how to stop it. And then they find women who be in that same energy. They find women who trying to mother them.
Yeah.
So
I know somebody earlier said they wouldn't even bring them around. And that's literally what it takes is being able to set up boundaries.
And see,
like
that's
being
the problem,
able to set up boundaries and enforce them. But having a mom like that, you wouldn't be taught how to set up and enforce your own boundaries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You would feel
shame
and guilt for that and like be constantly bombarded and all this stuff. It's not as easy as just saying that. So, to Yellow's argument with the boundaries all the time, you have to be in a position of power to assert boundaries, and in that dynamic, you're usually not an empowered person.
That's facts. Let's pull up because there's another clip, one more son-husband clip in there. This one comes from Kendra G, but I'm gonna let O'Shea set that up.
He takes on the responsibility of a husband, although he's a son, and that responsibility should have been for the mother's for his mother's husband or his father, but because of her bad decision making, he has to come in and pretty much seal the deal. Now, Kevin Samuels had an interview with a man who was 36 years old in the same situation as this.
Oh, I forgot about Kendra. There's Kevin first.
You're not coming across as a man who's at 36 who's living for him. You're in a rock between a hard place because your mom mismanaged her life. So now you're stuck with her.
The scenario was she had some cash, so she put the down payment down, but I had the income, so I co-signed on her loan.
Where's her husband?
I don't know my father.
Okay. Your mom mismanaged her life, so now you're stuck with it.
Don't co-sign people.
Okay.
Don't do it.
All right. So this and that's not what this show is really for. But see, this is what happens when guys become son husbands. No different than become mother-daughter scenario. The mothers end up ruining their kids' lives because they ruin their own life. You're 36 making 100. You should be living your own life.
So that brings us to what happened on Kendra G's show.
What's your name, girlfriend?
Okay, I'm Ivy.
Ivy, where you calling me from, love?
I'm calling you from Opelousas, Louisiana.
Louisiana. Do you have any children?
I got one son, as you heard. That's my man, my boyfriend. All that.
How old is your son? You call your son your boyfriend?
I'm his first love. Shit, he up my ass like he right there.
Bring his face.
Wait.
I'm talking. Go. Come on. I'm not hollering.
Why is you hollering? Like
It just
he is
keep
her man.
getting worse.
Listen, when you only got one child, you they first love. They own you like white on rice. They the gravy to your rice. So he just be all up in my
I understand that, but that's because you're his mother, not because you're his girlfriend.
Oh no! You taking it the wrong way, baby. No.
What's the right way?
You going too far.
Well, you don't want to say he's your man and your boyfriend.
Yeah, that's because I'm his mother. That's my first kid, so I treat him. He's 7. I had him at 28. Moving forward.
Okay, we'll keep going. All right, Ivy, what do you do for a living, honey?
I pause it real quick.
I'm a store manager at Family Dollar.
We got Godless Sewing in the building. Hello. Exactly. She said it that way with all of that romantic language. First love.
Here we go.
My boyfriend.
It's not sexual language, even though it is sexual. Yeah.
And I promise you, I would not have thought any. Cause I've come across like little small snippets of that in real life, but I wouldn't have thought to think it was a phenomenon. I wouldn't have thought a lot of people like just randomly said stuff like that. It caught me off guard.
Unfortunately.
Oh, no. Yeah, she too old for that nonsense. It's a little
Unfortunately, it's very common in certain communities.
Yeah, like 'cause if you would have said like he's because a lot of people in conversation would be like, well, a parent is like a child's first demonstration of love. So they might have said that one phrase, like their first love is their parent, like because people their first
all girls' first love is her dad.
Exactly.
And like
So
that Freudian way. I mean, in
Yeah.
Freud, that there is this idea that all the kids go through that phase. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not completely, but that's the kid though. That's the kid.
Right. But again, if she had said that one thing, I wouldn't have tripped. But she tied it together with like that's my boyfriend, that's my man.
Yeah,
So when you string those
your
together,
boyfriend,
it was like
period is already just gonna be. I was about to call defects. I wish I would have knew. I'm like, let me find. I almost picked my phone up, and she said, 28 is not young." She said it like I had him when I was 14. I thought she said I had him when I was 14, something like that. You said 28.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh,
28.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's nuance in terms of phrase, but then they're saying some weird shit in a weird way. Facts. Fake account reminded me of Greg Bryant. As long as he wear a condom, technically they did not have sex, so it's her son boyfriend. I can't stand you.
Is this Greg?
I know this is Greg's burner account. That's Greg's burner account. But
okay.
But it did. I'm gonna leave this part because this really is really unrelated to the son husband. The rest of this, but I left it in there anyway because it's just funny to show her thought pattern. So she just said she has a store. So like, what do you do?
She's
She's
like,
like,
a manager at a store at Family
she's a
Dollar.
manager. Like, go back like 5 to 10 seconds because she said something like, I own a store or I run a store or something like that. But she's a store manager.
Store manager at Family Dollar. I got my own store. I'm a manager.
I got my own store. That's what it was.
Okay. And
So I was like, that was a little.
I'm an Aquarius, baby.
All right, so we got Ivy, Louisiana, one son at 7. She's an Aquarius, store manager. Store manager. Ivy, what kind of thing you looking for, boo?
I'm looking for somebody that at least been to college 2 years. I'm looking for. He don't have to make 6 figures, but he do have to be a thousandaire. You know what I'm saying? Something that could keep us afloat. You know what I'm saying? To keep up with my shit. You know what I'm saying?
She got to be kept afloat.
Yeah, something like that.
What's the thousandaire? What's the minimum thousandaire he has to be?
He at least has to have $15,000 in savings.
Stop it. Get some help.
Pause that real quick. She said he gotta have at least $15,000 in savings. I don't know about y'all, but the last stats I was looking at.
I'm about to say, do you know how much you probably got to make to just be sitting on? She's my liquid cash.
Yeah, just sitting on 15K. Yeah, she's crazy.
Okay, girl.
Most people. Black Hearted with New Growth Old Soul. Again, thank you for coming to Saturday's game show. That was amazing. I really enjoyed myself. So thank you for being a part of it. And glad we were able to move forward, move it up in the day so that you were able to take part because that was a good time. That was a good time. Does she have? We know she doesn't have that in savings. Most Americans don't have that in savings. Most Americans can't afford a $500 to $800 emergency.
Right.
But I mean, especially without using credit. Because our credit load right now is crazy. Okay, fake account. Listen, my
you really
cash
about
app
that life, right?
is $ critically drinking. Now I know you didn't get the $376,000 in savings by giving it out, but trust me, there's a great return on investment. If you give me the maximum allowed, which might be like $9,999, you will have the rich, fulfilling internal reward of knowing that you did the right thing with that money. I promise you, it pays dividends quarterly. Promise you. Current account balance negative $16,788. Man, but go ahead and play because she followed up needing $15,000 with something that was so insane. I could not believe it.
Let me see.
For some people, we have to have 15K in the bank.
We 30. I'm 36.
I'm with you, but a lot of people do not have $15,000 saved.
I don't know what they doing. You at least gotta have 15K in the bank, and you at least gotta have a credit score fair.
I hate ninjas.
How? Who in the world has $15,000 and has a fair credit score? Like, I was like, she doesn't even understand how money works. Nobody that has a fair credit score is likely to have $15,000 sitting in, unless they just, I don't even know how.
I guess they can't get no credit card, so they better have some money in savings.
My God.
Oh, Lord.
What's up, Ty Lieber in the building? Good to see you. Good to see you.
You're right.
Family heritage. Maybe they did get a family inheritance, but man,
that's still, I mean,
that's not really.
This is a person with a credit score fair with 15,
right?
So that's why I say liquid cash. Like you just got 15,000 sitting in your Wells Fargo savings.
The likelihood.
Doubt it.
The likelihood.
Because even people with money to put in savings don't just have it sitting in their account somewhere. A lot of times, like it might be credit, and then you might have like, oh, this savings account, and then 401k, and then like this. Like if she would have said 15,000 in the 401k, you know, I would have been like maybe, because then they like, okay, they've been at their job for a while, they got 15 saved up, you know what I mean, like stuff like that. So even if she would have said that, I could have gave her like, okay, a little bit. But she's talking about 15 liquid cash, girl.
With a fair credit score.
Goofy.
I was just like,
go get her, Rashawn. There you go. Go get her.
No. She's already got a man.
Yeah, that's true. And that's why I said she thought she was gonna come on a dating show and say that, and men was just gonna be lining up.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
Okay.
You got a family heritage. Yeah, that's pretty much the end of it. I think that's the end of it.
Okay.
$ critically drinking. That's actually the only Cash App account that still exists in America is Cash App critically drinking. So if you ever want to Cash App Yella, or you want to Cash App Bree or Anae in the chat, it's still $.
No, for real, because I refuse. I just won't give them my Cash App. I really won't. I just won't. You've been like, tell me Cash App. I just won't do it. It's demand avoidance. It's demand avoidance.
That's interesting. I mean, you keep saying that. I think you wear that like as, I think that's like your.
Nah, it's just the reality that I face.
Like, why is it when somebody puts a demand on you, you automatically avoid it, even if it
got
would
ADHD? I don't know.
Man, it just sounds like
I should go get help. I don't know. I'll let you know. I'll look into it.
I doubt it. But I want to look at the other side because it gets just as weird on the other side too. It gets just as weird.
Oh wait.
Yeah. So we're gonna see if my string plays properly. Because Bree or Yella. Think about it when Yella shared this.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna show some others. ADHD. Everybody's got a label. Everybody's got a label. Okay. Hey, Cash App from, man, we got the fake account. What the Cash App? Hold on, man. Let me hear my brother Umar.
Let's go.
Let me hear brother Umar definitely appreciates.
Y'all gonna let fake accounts stun on y'all like this? This is their first day. They just already like, you know what? I hear Cash App, I drop the coins. That's
what's up. That's what's up. Hold on. First of all, we gotta tell you about this real quick.
You know how long the ism been around?
Yeah.
The ism probably been around longer than the Illuminati. But we have different rituals. You know, it's always a ritual to a secret society that we live in. Ism is a secret society. It's a culture, it's a vernacular, and it takes money. Yeah. You have to have money. You have to have choosing fees to get with that pimping.
That's right. The ism definitely appreciates you. We welcome you in. I forgot I didn't have Umar loaded into the ism, so we are not going to play his thank you. But yeah, thank you. We do
Illuminati confirmed.
There you go. Fake account, definitely. I have an account with 3K and one with 850. I made 60K in the last 3 months. Okay, we got the ballers. Hey man, fake account, not dead serious. I do appreciate you. Thank you for the contribution.
That's amazing.
Much love. That's
amazing.
I do want to bring this video back in. I didn't know if it was going to double up. Y'all look at this. I don't know if I can make it bigger. But watch. Because every time we try to make IG bigger, it shrinks or whatever. I hate that. I don't know it's super dumb.
It's big enough. It ain't no letters up there, so
Yeah.
It's fine.
So that's the dad and the daughter at looks like a game. You see the stands there. You know, they just giving each other lovey-dovey's, which is adorable. But the caption, guys, the caption. And you know that you heard that song, My Man, My Man, My Man by Young Miami. Or
the baby's so cute.
The baby's adorable. And they're having a good time, smiles on their faces. Just a good time had by all. I had to sit there and watch another woman kiss on my man, which was the caption by the poster. But then the comments is where it starts to get weird. Girl, bye. Don't look like your man to me. Looks pretty much like her man. So sometimes you got to pick your battles wisely and just move on. Somebody's like, stop kissing them on the lips. Stop kissing kids on the lips. Yeah, y'all need to quit with the emotional incest posts. Why are y'all playing being jealous that y'all daughter is bonding with her father? We're the only people that do this sick shit. Fucking crazy. Why are you third wheeling on their date? Man. And I was like, again, I wouldn't have thought anything about the father and daughter. I wouldn't have thought a thing about it. The comments, though, when I saw the comments, I was like, what's going on here? Why are we doing the fake jealousy? Like, why is that a thing?
Is it fake? Is it fake?
I mean, it's not.
I don't think
because
it's
this
fake.
is.
Yeah, I don't
It's
think
not.
fake.
There is a known competition with mothers and daughters in a lot of
And like people having weird rules about how dads can interact with their daughters that are strange to me. Like, I don't know, like, oh, she can't sit on her dad's lap. Like, I heard somebody like, what's wrong with y'all? Stop it. Get help. Like, what's wrong with y'all? Like, I can see random men, you know what I'm saying? That's not dad, but I've always thought that was weird. So I don't think it's fake. I've seen a lot of. I'm in a mom's group on Facebook, and it be a lot of ignorant shit like this going on.
Yeah, just because that one post said we the only like black people are the only ones to do this, I decided to go ahead and share this tab for y'all. And this one I can make bigger. Just because I'm so tired of hearing that black people are the only ones that do certain things. I'm like, we're humans. We're humans, guys. We're people. So other people do anything that we do. I promise you.
Show the girl that stole your man.
Miley is that Miley? She loud as fuck.
But he's good all the time. He's one of the good ones. And he's on mine. He's one of the good.
Show the girl.
Oops, excuse me. So just that one little caption though. Of course, black people are not the only people that do the little fake jealousy. The girl that stole your man. I guess it's a thing, a social media thing. Because when I did a search for it, because I couldn't find the video that Yellow shared it first, there were tons of these. Like, I wouldn't have thought anything about it. I honestly wouldn't have thought anything about that first one. Oh, that's just a woman just being social media silly stuff. But when I did a search, stole my man, girl dad, there's like tons of them. Like, I don't know if we need to keep promoting this language. It's weird. I'm jealous. This girl stole my man. And
we don't use language.
Oh my God.
It's weird.
She's trying to steal my man. She stole my man. Stole my man. He used to feed me like this.
Oh,
I don't know.
Weird.
I don't know.
That's weird.
It's this new culture that we assume the majority of men are predators. Super sad. We're the only ones because I don't care what the less melanated do. I guess.
Right. I'm not really keen on it.
That happened to little girls who are now the moms. Man. It's crazy. There was one.
I don't know. I think it's just weird.
Yeah.
What you looking for? We got what you looking for. She done stole my man's heart. We got what you looking for. What you looking for? We got what you looking for. Did it hit you?
felt somebody looking at me, looked over and saw my daughter, let me know she done stole my man's heart. But it was somebody in the comments. There was another comment on another one. This must have been a repost, because there was another one where somebody was like, yeah, the way she looked at you to let you know she was stealing your man. It's like, I don't know. Maybe it's just playful. It might just.
I mean, I'm sure it's playful. Like, I've heard people play like that.
Is playful. The intention.
Yeah, I think it's definitely playful. But I've noticed that there's a lot of like just internalized sexualization of children. Like, we were having a conversation about sexualization, and I was saying, no, like it's not. Sexualization does not mean that like you want to have
Somebody
intercourse
wants to
with
have
people,
sex, yeah.
right? Because a lot of parents sexualize their kids way too early, and I mean, I think this is just another example of that kind of behavior.
Yeah,
like sexualization of children. This is an example of it, even though it's playful. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, because a couple of them actually said this, the woman that stole my man, and I'm like, I
Right.
don't know. I constantly hear people talk about we make children grow up too soon, and we sexualize young Black girls, especially too early, and women too early. Girls
See, I
too
feel like
early,
the
and all this
idea
stuff.
that a
It's like,
dad teaches his daughter how to be a wife or something, like I've heard people talk about that. Like, that was such a weird concept to me. Like, it is like, because she wasn't a dad's, they talk about that sometimes in the circles. I don't even know the wording they use, but I always feel like it's weird. I'm just like, how exactly does someone who isn't a lover to a person teach someone how to step into that role? Because I've just never understood that. Because for me, that's the most like paramount part of being a wife to a husband, is being his lover. And I'm like, yeah, so she ain't finna learn that. She ain't finna learn that till she get her own. So like, he can't, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, she can see us interact with each other, but like, I don't know. I've always thought that was weird. They teach them how to be a wife or how to be a husband. I don't know. It's just weird.
yeah, there's some, I guess, some boundary blurring that I guess we don't know. We don't know how to, like, goes back to the son husband thing. There are some cultural issues with being able to set up appropriate boundaries with, especially like intangible things, like the idea of this being one role and this being another role for the same person. Like, we don't have the ability to set up like mental boundaries, thought boundaries, concept boundaries, because I don't know. If I just heard it once, I promise you, I wouldn't have, like the Manosphere Red Pill space. If I just heard a couple guys complaining, I wouldn't have thought about it. But then once you start hearing a flood of people, it's like, oh, this is a thing. Okay. I was like, when I did the search and I saw so many results, I'm like, I honestly wasn't expecting to find too many more than the video that I knew I couldn't locate. I was like, okay, I'm gonna find that video, maybe two others, but there were a bunch of them. I was like, wow. And Blackhearted with New Growth had a good comment. Could it be that these women lack this love from their fathers and are looking at their men as fathers?
Yeah. I definitely think it's a deficit issue because of how most people actually deal with each other. Like, most women overmother everybody. They try to mother their husbands and their children. And also, yes, like projecting that women are looking for, I think this idea that you're looking for your father, or women look for their father in their husbands, or men step into a father role as a husband, I think it's just weird language. And I think that that's why a lot of it is actually normalized, because I think that is, but I don't see that. Like, even some people call their spouses, call them daddy and stuff like that. I mean, this is very normalized behavior.
Mama, little mama.
So I'm not going to pretend I don't know that where it comes from, or like that it's very normal. I've always thought it was weird, but it's very normal.
Yeah, I get the whole Freudian angle. I believe there's a dynamic to that, because there is the relationship between male, female, like your relationships patterns. We always talk about attachment styles. Those patterns do come from your childhood. So the way you pattern masculinity, femininity, the roles of a mother and father, husband and wife, however you want to look at it, I can see that coming from the home. And I can see some of the dynamics of like love and care crossing over. The way you would like nurture and care and support this person is the same way you might bleed that over into other male relationships or other female relationships. All that makes perfect sense. But I do also think at the same time, since there is some bleed over of activity, like I'll feed because we had this argument around food prep. I'm not going to feed my man before I feed my kids or something like that. I'm like, I feel like I just got another kid if I feed my man. Why are we
Yeah, the whole mothering idea. Like feel like
handing someone a plate? It doesn't make them a child. It's just you're an act of service. It's not that deep. But I think sometimes we attach too much to some very basic concepts that should be gender neutral. Like you're caring for somebody. It shouldn't matter whether you're
role neutral. Like it's not mothering. Yeah.
I think sometimes we just attach too much idea that we don't know how to erect boundaries around to keep it clean. And then some of this stuff just bleeds over like this. Like, this woman stole my man. This girl stole my man. And I'm like, it's kind of weird, man. It's kind of weird. Mothers who actually gave husbands probably don't use their sons for that position. Yeah, if you actually have a husband, yes, you probably, like Bree said, a deficit. Because you're coming from a place of deficit. If you're coming from a place of deficit, a lot of times people feel those deficits inadequately. But it's the only way they know how.
Yeah.
Because if
you don't have to do that.
Feel the deficit.
Right. But that's what most people do. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not your mother here. Yeah. So you're not the partner you take on is not your mother or your father. But I think some of those feelings that come from childhood, from that attachment style, I think it confuses people. I think they don't know how to clear up the blur. I don't know how they bring.
It's almost like they have to like filter it through the childhood mother, father first, and then move on. Like it's like almost like it has to, if you didn't have a dad in the house, it's like you automatically the child in you will filter it through that first. Just weird. It's weird. It's weird.
It's weird. I'm trying to de-weird is what I'm trying to do. I think. Like if I take it out of a couple, like even if, like for myself, if I had a child, I would say to myself, I don't want to be the father that abandoned me. Like I wouldn't want to be. So even within me, I'm playing out a narrative of what a father isn't, and I'm mapping that onto the way I act in my current, based on what I experienced. You know what I'm saying? So my lack or deficiency is also going to shape the way I show up in the life of the next person in my life.
That's interesting.
When the roles reverse. Yeah.
Because I forgot that people like do parent that way. Because like I don't parent that way.
Yeah.
Because I don't think of like my mom's was great. She's amazing. So I'm not parenting from like that place of the deficit. Yeah. So I didn't think about that either.
Yeah. So I mean, so even when I think that same dynamic though creeps into couples. So because I didn't have this type of father, I'm going to seek you to fill that role because you're the man. And you know what I'm saying? So, and if I don't have a husband, I'm going to try to get that from my son. I'm going to try to get it from somewhere because I still have that emotional need and I've got to get it filled and I can't feel it myself. It's a deficit from a relationship perspective. So I need another person to fill it. And if nobody's willing to partner with me or I'm unable to partner, which again, this goes back to some of the issues I have with women and having children. A lot of women have children to feel the need for love. Yeah. I've heard a lot of women say that, which is from a deficit. I don't feel love, so I want to create something that will have to love me.
They have to.
I think it's to love me.
A completely inappropriate reason to have a kid.
Yeah.
I hear
which
it all
is
the time.
Probably where this stuff comes from. You're supposed to love me. You're supposed to fulfill me. You're not doing that now.
How you birthed me into the world with a job? Damn, man. I can't be an infant.
Can't even be an infant.
Just be an infant. Nope. Got a job immediately.
Guess he's my mom. Yeah, Quantum, he's your mom. He served you plate. Don't let him wash dishes.
Oh, it's mommy.
Yeah, don't let him wash dishes.
Let me call King Mommy real quick. See what he says.
That's how I raised my son. Don't do what mom and dad did to me. But that's what happens. A lot of us come from that deficit place. And I think it does not allow us to, and I've seen what Bree talked about. It does not allow us to come into a relationship from a whole perspective because we're already trying to treat something from a whole different situation that isn't a part of this situation, but we're bringing it there. We're bringing our past into this current. And it's like, I see how it goes wrong so quickly, even with the best of intentions. I want to make sure that you get what I didn't have, but I can see how quickly that can go wrong. Filling a void, unnecessary. How you birth me in the world with a job? Yeah, Bree always spit. Bree always be spit. Let's look at her cut somebody out. Let's watch Bree cut somebody out. Mother, you better shut the up. Who do you think you're talking to? You better sit your ass down somewhere. You heard what I said? You want me to come over there? Oh, whatever.
All right.
Hey.
Negotiating with the terrorists over there.
Of course, that's what's up. But yeah, I thought that was I've seen women have kids because they're like, absolutely.
I've seen women have kids because they ain't got nothing else to do. I've said out of my mouth with a lot of friends. She be like, they as soon as their kids hit school age or hit a milestone where they don't, you know, it's a level of I don't need you anymore because I'm growing up. I don't think about having another baby. Girl, if you don't go knit,
man,
or paint or draw something. People have babies. I see it all the time. They don't even see it. It's like, oh, your kids got this age, and now all of a sudden you got baby fever. Girl, you better go get a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
So I see a lot of women have kids simply because they bored or they just used to somebody. They want somebody to need them. They're not used to like just not, you know, people not depending on them all the time. So they just keep the cycle going.
It's a project. People project before the people. Vaughn Bryant in the building. Hello. And thank you again for participating the other day. I really enjoyed that game show day. Really enjoyed it. I'm going to mention it every time I see y'all for at least the next one episode. Absolutely. Hey, thank you. Love JJ. Appreciate it. A few new people popped in today.
Cute.
So thank
the algorithm and
appreciate it. Because we got Bree back. Because it's only because we
no,
got Bree
I
back.
think it's been my fault because when I wasn't cammed up, the algorithm's like they on some bullshit. Now we both cammed up, so the algorithm like, okay, they for real. Let me
They're actually trying to produce content. That's what's
Mm-hmm.
up. But listen, I really appreciate all of y'all coming through. We were just talking a little bit about son husbands and like this dynamic of women being like playfully jealous of their daughters when you have a girl dad. So and some of the weird,
playfully jealous. So
Title of the chat,
a lot
Paula.
of moms hate their daughters. Oh my God. You could tell when they become teenagers. Listen to the rhetoric around teen girls. I mean, even men talk about their own daughters, like, you know, talking about the upcoming, you know, teenage years that their daughters will be, you know, facing and what they're worried about. I mean, just listen to people talk about teenage daughters or how they treat them. I mean, a lot of moms don't like their daughters.
Yeah, because I think what happens, only because I've seen this happen. When and it happened with boys too. I think boys get dominated in a special way. Like we saw that last video, well, the son husband video. I think the boys get dominated if they have the mother. No, not today. We have not talked about narcissism today at all, but that might be one of the dynamics at play. I mean, that dominating, needing to be adored and loved, because that might be coming into the conflict of the jealousy because they need the attention for themselves. That really could be a dynamic, but most of us, so many people go undiagnosed and untreated that we wouldn't even know. We just know it's a person that just sucks all the oxygen out of the room. But when the teenagers, I know what happened with my nephew. When my nephew turned 11, he became very autonomous. He became very like independent. I wanted my own space, my own ways. I wanted to do things differently than when I was coming up. And it was a hard adjustment for everybody in my family. But I had to fight. I had to advocate for him with the women in the family because they wanted him to stay in that child place. And I'm like, he has to learn to become a man. He has to learn to be able to like take responsibilities on, make choices for himself and live with the consequences of all that. But there's so many women in our family that it was like you said, the overmothering aunt and the actual mother, grandmother. There were so many women that feel like I have to have a hand in. I'm like, no, he's allowed to fail and fall and rise up and do all that stuff. He's got to feel that. He's got to experience that. Thank you, Love JJ, a black man in the building. Appreciate you. Strong black man right there.
Sorry, my husband started talking to me. I don't know.
No, it's all good. You ain't got to apologize.
I know.
Now, I believe that. JJ, I do. You said I wasn't listening? Is that what you said?
I didn't catch what you were saying. So
that's why you apologize. Yeah, that's a good reason to apologize. Not listening to me? Absolutely. You absolutely.
I know you get real sensitive about it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
that's not an insult. It's a sensitive spot. You don't like to feel not listened to, so I'm letting you know I did not listen to you. Cause
but I listen.
Is that not like what's the issue?
It's just it reminded me. It immediately took me back to the game show. It immediately took me back to the game show when you was like, you skipped my turn. That's okay. I ain't gonna forget. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And when I looked at it, I was like, Dad, you were right. New growth
was
left, so
right.
you were next. You were
Mhm.
right. So I'm trying to just sit with the fact that you're probably right again without the defensiveness taking over. That's what that was. It's just like the defensiveness. Like, I ain't sensitive, but I have actually said out loud multiple times. I don't like repeating myself.
Yeah.
But I wasn't actually speaking to you that time. I was speaking to the audience, so I didn't even notice because I knew you had stuff you going on. So it wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you.
This is just being
Appreciate you.
considerate.
Yeah, drop brief for hostile behavior. Boom, got her. Snipe.
It's all right. Y'all so used to y'all toxic women around y'all. Y'all don't know how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? It's all right. I know y'all ain't used to that. It's all right. Y'all think I'm being hostile, but ask your mama. Talk to your mama.
I remember
Talk to your
picture that
mama.
said, I asked God to send me a man, and he sent me my son.
No, because that's a baby. Isn't that a baby? Don't he send you a baby first?
I don't like that one at all.
I hear so many. My
No.
mom had a lady come stay with her way back in the day. She used to have people. She used to rent out a room to women, and she had the worst relationship with her son. And she would say stuff like that all the time. Like, it was just the weirdest thing. He
Yeah,
was
with the
sleeping in
mother-son
bed
thing.
with her and everything. It was so inappropriate.
Yeah.
Because he was like 10. I'm like,
Mhm.
he should not
Gotta
be
get some
sleeping in the bed
separation.
with you. Yeah. But
Yeah,
it
with
was
the
weird.
mother-son thing, it's emotional enmeshment. There's a lot of that. And that's what I was saying. Around when the time when the young boys and the young women start to individuate, when they start to find their own identities separate from the mother, that's where a lot of them start to feel rejection and abandonment again from their attachment style. They feel pulled away from, which is natural for a budding individual, preteen to a teen. They're going to pull away from up under their parents. They want to find themselves. And that feels like to that person who's damaged and wounded, who's a parent who had a kid because they needed a man,
Right.
they're going to feel rejected and abandoned, which is going to trigger a lot of stuff.
And I
So I
mean-
understand why, but it's messy, and we need a way to
Also,
address
a lot
it,
of
man.
Black parents don't acknowledge their children's personhood either.
At all. Oh my God.
Ever. So you talking
whole
about
human.
personhood. Yeah, like personhood. What's
It's
that?
a whole human.
Personhood. You're here to serve my ego.
You're here to serve
So-
my ego, man.
Yeah.
That's such a woo,
That's like a thing.
woo. Man, appreciate that. It's so true. When boys grow into their own, the mother often feels like she's losing a man. Yeah, it's crazy. And then it feels like, and I think with the girls, it's the same thing. I think because the young girl is turning into a young woman, it's automatically perceived as competition because we're now both going to be seeking the same resource, which is going to be attention. So we're both going to be seeking for attention. I know my deficits. You're a younger, better version of me. Like now I got to treat you like trash. The same way that they say guys try to break down a woman to make them feel lower than, I think women do that to their girls. I need to break you down.
Yeah,
so
I think
you don't think.
I think a lot of women like are nice nasty to women who
Mhm.
are of sexual maturity.
Yep.
And you'll see a lot of times that they can't really get along with other women until they're out of the age range of being like in the market.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
getting older and older. Like women are refusing to just, sit down and be an old auntie or grandma somewhere. So it's that phase is going on longer. But a lot of
Yes.
times you'll see a lot of women can't tolerate women or just are mean to women until they're like
Yep.
50.
Yep.
And that's also a thing.
I just heard somebody today saying 50 is the new 40. And I'm
Yeah.
like, but even 40 was the new 30. Everybody's trying to be young. And it's like, if everybody's trying to be young, who's, like you said, who's going to be the old teacher? Who's going to be the mentor? Who's going to be the person that passes on wisdom and understanding to the next generation? If the 40 and 35, 30, I'm going to say 30 to 40. If everybody from 30 to 50 is still trying to be Cardi B or now Sexy Red, if everybody wants to be Meg Thee Stallion, as women on the women's side, from 30 to 50, and you've got a child from newborn to a 20-year-old, you're the model, and they've seen you try to be a club hopper for 20 years as they're growing up. What kind of relationships are they going to be fit to have? Because you've been their competition or you've been their surrogate the entire time. Nobody's thinking through this thing. I know parenting, nobody's thinking through it. When I say nobody, that's an absolute. So a generalization of the people the demographic we're
Definitely
speaking
not.
of. People
I'm
were
definitely
dysfunctional.
not thinking about it. I just wake up and I just I like roll a dice, and then like I'm just gonna be whatever the
Facts.
number is on the dice. I'm gonna be that times more toxic to my children in order to stunt their
stand
growth.
you.
That's how I parent. Yeah.
You a full blown lie. Bree has a very thought out parenting style, which I respect. I don't understand it fully. The whole respectful parenting thing.
He's like, I don't get it. I don't understand respecting humans.
No, I get respecting humans. But I didn't. When I heard you talking, there was a dynamic. I think it was about chores.
Yeah.
In the chore place, I'm still authoritarian.
Mm.
Like I respect your humanity,
right?
But when it comes to like utility of the home, I default back to authoritarianism.
I mean, you know, if there's space for taking care of the home you live in, there's a respect for your home. You take care of it, and there are things that they're responsible for. So I think it still gets done. I think you just have to reframe like what role it has, or you know, what it is and why we do it. Like why we do it. I think it's the main difference probably between authoritarian and like respectful parenting.
Yeah. I'm saying I still have ego. When I say authoritarian, I'm saying I still have ego in that space. So if I said I wanted this done, like especially with my nephew, it'd be like, if I wanted this done and I thought it needed to be done now, we're gonna have a debate or an argument because I really want this done now. Even if it maybe it didn't need to be done now. So
what would be something that you'd be like, it need to be done now? Because I think this goes back to like personhood that I was saying.
Yeah. Me and him, we've had battles, and I have changed a lot because of him. That my relationship to my nephew actually changed me a lot because I adopted the programming from my parenting. So it was do as I say. But he challenged that. So I'm gonna say one thing that I know when he was younger, it was the first thing that he got me with was going to bed on time. Like he was like,
what is on time?
I don't cause you a problem when it's time to wake up.
Right.
What does it matter when I go to bed? And first I was, it took me a minute, about 2 or 3 passes of that. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna give you an opportunity, which I knew he was going to fail. Because
of course you got to let him fail.
I knew he was going to fail.
Yeah.
But he didn't. That's the thing.
Oh, so you didn't know.
He stayed up late. He stayed up late and did whatever he wanted to do. And it was like midnight. And I'm in there. I'm like, you ever seen that Key and Peele? The Key and Peele with like the sweat? I'm in there like, oh my God, it's going to be terrible in the morning. Oh my God.
He gonna wake up. Yeah.
He got up fine. And always got up fine.
Yeah.
Always. Like he had like one day.
Probably still do it as an adult. Like most of us do.
Yep.
You know, I find that kids, they sleep the amount they need to sleep. Like my toddler gonna get them 10 hours in. If she go to sleep late, she'll just wake up later. So I mean, I think a lot of the stuff we think that we need to set rules for, I think like in my house, those same things happen, but it's more so they have a reason that's not just because I said so, or my ego, or well, if you're getting sick a lot, or if you're dragging, or if your teacher's saying you're falling asleep in class, then we'll have to have a conversation about it. But if there's nothing like that going on, and there's always room to negotiate for the most part.
There was that. A little random stuff like taking out trash. It was like always little goofy stuff that,
like that
I know I would have got jumped on as a kid. I carried that programming, but he was like JJ said, he was respectful, he's thoughtful, and he's still like that as an adult. So it wasn't just to sleep. There's a whole host of other things, and I can't think of them all right off the top of my head. But I've adapted. A lot of
arbitrary and capricious shit our parents put on us.
I'm gonna tell you. Even using pronouns, he got in trouble for using pronouns in my family. Like he said, he was talking about his mother, and he said she said something like, and they jumped on him, and they was like, "Don't say that. That's your mother. You call her mother or something." Like I'm like she is a pronoun. Like she went to the store. Like she picked the cup up. I was like, I had to argue and defend his use of pronouns because she was
people treat their kids like they can't wait for the day they square up with them. I swear to God, they start so early. It's really crazy. But if you see a lot of it, I think that's why sometimes you see the dynamics, like especially with the sexualization and all this kind of stuff. If you remove yourself, because I think a lot of the traditional parenting had sexualization baked into it.
I do.
And a lot of these dynamics are baked into it. Oh, you're going to be the man of the house one day. All that kind of stuff is like very traditional parenting. And I think the sexualization is very baked into it. So it's not surprising to me that these things come out. Like, especially if people are already maladaptive and stressed, then you're gonna see it come out more. But a lot of traditional parenting is just weird.
Yeah. And I was talking to somebody. I don't know if it was you in Camden Inn or if it was somebody in my real life, because I talked about this with my family too. And it was like even in like Bridgerton, I brought up Bridgerton. Was that you and Camden? I'm not sure, but even like people did, the young men, if the fathers had died early or they went to war and died or something, the young men would step up and fill household and family roles. They did become the master of the house, because women weren't allowed to like own property, you know, do a whole bunch of title. They couldn't hold station. So I understood it then, but things have changed. Society has changed. Women can own property. They can make decisions for the household. So
There's
I
no
don't
reason.
know. Yeah, I don't know why the kid would need to step into that role. And the kid definitely can't protect anybody. Like, a lot of times we're talking about
But
little
there's
kids.
a lot of boys who feel like they have to protect their mom.
Yep.
I mean, we had that whole debate when we were talking about the lady at the hot dog stand.
Yeah.
How she like failed as a mom because it was her job to protect him, but he had to protect her. And a lot of people don't feel that way. They like, great job, that's what you should do. I'm like, I mean, push come to shove,
push come to
like,
shove.
But like, you shouldn't have to
No.
have to be in that position. Is the point.
Do you think it was expectation for the young boys to fill the spot of the father? Expectation out of necessity. Like, I think that expectation was born out of necessity. Like, if the women can have no like old historic patriarchy, if women could have no station, no title, couldn't own land, nothing was passed down the matriarchal line, they couldn't, no ownership, no autonomy of being like governing the family and the land and stuff like that. It was utilitarian. If the man or the husband is dead, deceased, incapacitated, the next in line takes the place, the oldest boy or the most capable boy, whatever. That makes perfect sense. But at this time, when any adult can fill the role, it would make me think that the mother would take responsibility of all the matters. But I think we still carry over that old patriarchal expectation of the man has to be the one that's making these decisions. So even
then
you
we
need
don't
to have
need
a man
men
of the
though.
house.
So
You don't need a man of the house. You don't need a man of the house if a woman can have land and title. And
I mean, but I
station
think
and
women are
property.
like have this understanding that in 2023 you don't need a man for legal stuff.
Right.
But it ain't translating to them sons though. I don't know why.
No. I think that's where the boundaries have blurred. Like I think people who say a lot of this stuff have taken on the like somebody said emotional incest in the comments, I believe it was. They've emotionally brought the man of the house onto the son, as opposed to the utility of the man of the house. Like the person that has to get up on the ladder to change the light bulbs. Well, it might be the man is taller, he can reach further. There's a utility of the man of the house, and I think the son should probably fill in that role, but not the emotional. The emotional capacity of the husband should never be passed on to anybody else.
So like so the idea is that like there is a kid out there and they're like one has a dad in the house and the other kid doesn't have a dad in the house. And so one kid in essence gets to basically have the freedom to be a kid. It sounds like he gets to explore what he likes to do, hobbies, have time to himself, have free time, self-development time, because he doesn't have to do all that stuff. But this other kid who is having to be called to move boxes and he'll come help people move, and it sounds like this kid is being limited though in that.
Yeah, and I would say for the most part they're going to be trade-offs. Like it's going to be a trade-off. Some of the time at play is going to be used for utility, but I can't imagine anybody's life is so hectic that it just prevents the ability to be a kid. Like
I don't know. I feel like prevents the ability to be a kid. Like I don't know. I think shouldering certain responsibilities on them kind of makes you mentally like you're still a kid. Like no one can make you not be a kid. But I think if a young boy feels that pressure to feel, I don't know if he has the freedom. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like mentally,
I get what you're saying.
do you think the boys, I guess it's a question, are aware of the pressure on them to feel that space, or do you think they don't like, I don't know how it's communicated to the kid. I don't know if it's just communicated through mom constantly asking me to do all the things because I'm taller and bigger, or is it said explicitly like, you're the man of the house? You got to watch your sisters. You got to stand up for us. Like, what? How is? I mean, and the chat can answer too, because I don't know. But like, how is this usually communicated? Do you think it's implicit or explicit? Like, do you think it's expressed?
Yeah, I'll tell you my experience of it. Because again, I was not like, I wouldn't call myself a son husband, but I was the man of the family. Because again, it was me. My uncle died young. Me, my mother, grandmother, 2 aunts, 2 sisters, mostly women in the neighborhood. So anytime somebody needed something, I was the gopher. Go for this, go for that. But I'm gonna read this comment. This is JJ's talking about what you're talking about. I think kids should be kids. Too often their youth is taken and they begin to become adults at young ages. That's sad and wrong, in my opinion. Let me see. Yeah, the same way the brother of the deceased husband would come in and take over the family, a kinsman redeemer in the Bible, even marry the woman. It was a need for time. And that's actually Tamar. We're going to talk about that a little bit in the near future. Yeah, let me see. It's one thing to teach kids responsibility, but programming them into little man or young lady is not right. They're kids and should be taught as such. And I would say we need to define an age too, because I think it's a certain age you should start to be groomed into.
I think
a young man and a young lady. Like there should be some.
Maybe at a teenage, there's some things I think for a teenager that should start to be told about. But I don't know. Like, and because he said we're expected to do so. How was the expectation communicated to you? Did you just figure it out, or was it told to you? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah. There were things that were told to me, and I'm gonna go over that. I just want to catch up real quick. What's up, man, Drill? Good to see you. Hello, sir. Happy belated birthday. I know your birthday was about a week ago, so man, appreciate you for sliding through. A bunch of females and one male, all being overmothered until it's time to lift a box or crush a butt. Yeah, and that was the thing. So I got the man of the house label quite a bit, and I was also somebody needed to move boxes. Let's take Sean over there. So even to the point into my adulthood, from childhood into adulthood, I was like. Keeper of keys. So somebody lost the key. I was that. Somebody ran out of gas somewhere. I had to go help them up. Somebody moving boxes or moving. I was that. Light bulbs, get up on a ladder. The bugs, pests, mice, all of that. Tech stuff. I was that for multiple households. Again, and then there's the church extension too. So it's like my family, but then if there's women in the church that don't have anybody, then they need tech help or they need some. So I was that person. I was that guy you're talking about. So how it got communicated was the man of the house. But I knew early on, it was very clearly demonstrated to me that I was not the man of the house. So I knew through example that it was like titular. I knew back then that it was titular because if I ever tried to stand up and try to like hold domain or dominion over anything, it was very quickly slapped down. So I knew, like through demonstration.
You were more just like your mom's extension.
Yes, I was. I was a facilitator. Like, but I was delegated. I was an
you were delegated. Right.
I was the assistant.
The delegated male presence.
Yes. So and so needs this. So and so needs that. We're gonna go over there because so and so needs you to do this. So I was the do boy. I was the gopher. I get that. That was your childhood too, JJ, man. But as I got older, I realized it was not okay. And it took me a long time.
My brothers didn't have that childhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But see, I know I also got to be a kid, but to the pressure. Let me speak to the pressure.
Yeah.
So I internalized feeling like I had to protect people. And I also internalized failure and inadequacy when I could not. Now, the women in my family put themselves in very harmful situations. Like,
right.
Was it Deontay Wilder? I wish I had that clip. To this day. Right. So, like, to the point, and I'm gonna just tell y'all about an interaction me and my nephew had. Because me and my sisters, I'm gonna say we have strained relationships. That's me too. Mrs. She said in the building. Mrs. She said, hello. Me and my sisters have strained relationships. My nephew, he cut off my older sister, who's not his mother. My older sister doesn't have any children. He cut her off, and more recently, he cut her off because they had a disagreement. I'm leading to something. I recently told her we just have we don't have anything but history. Like we don't have a relationship. I just don't see a point in us continuing communication. So me and her are pretty much estranged at this point too. My youngest sister, who is his mother, they have their relationship, but I don't speak to her. I don't have really a relationship other than our history, our shared history. So every conversation with either my older or younger sister is talking about something from my childhood or something that's just very superficial. So there's no real relationship there. But my nephew, I guess he wondered one time, like, why I don't care for his mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? Like, because you never get, like, everybody, we all got into fights. Everybody got into fights, but eventually at some point I just pulled out. I will not emotionally invest in fights with people I don't even have a relationship with. And it's never towards resolution. So one time he was like really challenging me. He was challenging me, like, man, I was like, what do you want from me? Because he was like, you don't care, you don't this, you don't that, da, 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 da. I'm like, what are you talking about? I do this, I do that, blah, blah, blah. But he couldn't feel it because I wasn't as demonstrative as everybody else. So finally I had to let him know. I had to tap into the hurt. And I'm gonna tap into it here. So if I go off cam, I'm gonna go off cam. To the point of not being able to protect her and internalizing the disappointment. My little sister, who is my nephew's mother, I love him dearly, and I'm so thankful that she had him. It was something that was ill-advised. She was a teen mom, so nobody really wanted her to have the baby. I'm so glad she did. But he had asked me why I don't care, blah, 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 and I responded with, I care too much. And what I have to do is hold all of that to myself because I am deeply hurt by the fact that I could not protect her. I could never protect her. She was a teenager. The guy that she got pregnant by was a grown man. Was always getting in the fights. Into her adult age. People shooting at her. I could not protect her, but that was my job. That was my job. So to this day, it hurts immensely. And I see the things she goes through, and it's like, I can't do anything. And I can't save anybody that won't save themselves or even make attempts to. So it's like, what now? So am I supposed to go balls to the wall for somebody who keeps putting themselves like a habitual line stepper? Am I going to kill myself? Like one time we literally, me, another cousin, we're going into her home with guns to put out drug dealers who have set up a crack house. How do you protect somebody that's doing stuff like that? How? So I'm telling him, like, man, I cannot carry this all the time. I can't bring that to every interaction because it hurts too much to look and see all the places I failed because I internalized the pressure of protection for people I can't protect. I have no hold of, no influence, no power.
You were much too young, like when that was put on.
Too young. I was too young. And nobody can show me how. So no woman in my family has ever been protected. Ever. I can't keep them safe. Especially when they spread out. One's in this state, one's in this state, one's over here. And then you deal with dudes. You deal with crazy dudes. So every time it's a beef, I got to show up. And because I don't know how crazy they are, if they're on drugs, there's got to be guns involved.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of life is that? What about what I want? I don't want that.
Right.
So it's like the issue with the dysfunctional aspect of our community, it puts too much of a burden on the children to carry roles they were not built to bear. It's an impossible ask. And the people who are asking them to fill these roles don't have what's necessary to create them to be able to fill the role. So like if I had a job,
possible, right? Yeah, I mean, if you're asking a kid who have authority over to protect you, but you don't listen. You're not going to listen to them. You're not going to consider them. So that kid is an impossible ask in a sense. You're putting a powerless person in a position of supposed power. If you're a protector, that should be an empowered position, or you should have authority there.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's not fair. Like,
nah, it's definitely not fair. And Yella went through that. Since I was a bigger kid, I knew it was my responsibility to help with certain things, but I knew I had no power. That was our biggest issue. I do not have a relationship with my siblings, but I hear you, man. Facts. Not every family dynamic is a clean cut. Facts. I know this all too well. Yeah, a lot of us had these kind of situations. Bravo with Sheila. Hello. Thank you for coming through. The world class, man. What is up, my guy? Appreciate
hey, y'all.
you. Thank you, JJ, man. Thank you. Just
Yeah,
catching up.
children. This is a light skin invasion channel. Who light skin over here?
Man. Yeah. But it's definitely a thing. And Greg Bryan, man. Finally, Greg Bryan is in the building, man. Definitely good to see you. Yeah, there's a lot of dysfunction. And what I'm gonna say, like, if we made it positions, like people who don't know how to be anything more than like a mail room,
right?
They've never worked above the mail room. Your knowledge base is going to be limited. Your capacity is going to be limited. But then you start a new company, and now you're trying to cast somebody as a CEO. You don't know what a CEO does. You don't know what role they're supposed to fill. You don't know what kind of decisions they should have to bear because you've never lived to that level. And that's what kind of happens with the parents. The people who are having children have never lived up to the role of running a family. They've never seen it. They don't understand.
Kind of like a playing dress up, play pretend. You know, you put on the high heels, put on lipstick, you go to work, and you just do what you think it is, but it's so much more than that.
And I would actually say that it's not just in our families. I would even say that's one of the reasons that a lot of businesses that come from our communities are so terrible, because we are used to being employees or less. We're used to being employees or less. So actually running something, what it takes to do so, we don't have the knowledge base for it. We don't have the emotional base for it. Right. We don't know what it requires. So the same thing we do that with human beings now in families. We make this person, we have a new employee. Hey, you're the new CEO. You're the new man of the house. What does that mean? Well, you do what I tell you to do. You're the CEO, but you do what I tell you to do. Oh, okay. Well, what's the pay? Your pay is, and you get to live here.
I see why like so many men take that into their relationships too. Like being powerless and like, well, I was the man of the house since I was a kid. Like, but not really. I mean, you really,
but not really.
You were bamboozled. You
weren't paying the bills. You weren't signing any checks. You didn't have the money coming in.
And you better not talk bad.
You were a titular figure. You were like the face of the company. But that's it. You had no real power.
And it's just like it's so cruel in a way. Because you just put this little kid up here to take all the negative impacts of your foolishness. But they don't have any room to say anything about it. It's just terrible. But I mean, a lot of people carry that same thing in their relationships. Like, to the men's point, I do hear a lot of men talking about that. We can't protect y'all if y'all ain't gonna listen to us anyway. And I mean, it sounds like the same dynamic you're talking about with your sister. Like, I'm supposed to protect you, but this brand of protection that you're asking of me is just to show up to basically eat bullets when you decide to do something dumb. Yeah. So.
And nobody wants to be a like if you're the CEO, but your actual function is the janitor. Hey, listen, I made a mess in the bathroom. I need you to get that mop and bucket, boy.
Right.
And there's only gonna be so many cleanups before you're ready to tap out.
Yeah.
Like that's not what you sold me. When I saw the Indeed post, it said CEO. I'm the boss. I'm running things. I'm the man of the house. Patriarchy. No, actually, patriarchy comes with a mop and bucket now. Boy, go clean this up. I made a mess. Like, man, it's weird. It's strange.
And that's why I think it's just cruel. And we should stop putting it on boys. Like, period. I think they should just be kids. But I think a lot of people will say that they were able to be a kid, but it's like, were you really? If you felt like you had to be the man of the house and you came to understand this burden placed on you early on, you don't know, because you don't know what it was like to grow up and not have that burden on you. So how can you say that you weren't shorted in some way of some experience, you know, that you would have had if you were carefree and were able to just be a kid until you weren't anymore?
I get you. To that question though, I would say life is never static. So there were ample times where I do feel, and again, that's not consistent, that I did myself and other people that were in my same situation. Because the dynamics in my areas, they were very similar. The families were very similar. We did get times to just be kids, to be carefree, but they were moments. They were like summers. There were breaks. There were times where somebody's family had money, so they didn't have the pressure of doing certain things. Or maybe there was a boyfriend now, so you didn't have to be the protector or on lookout, or you didn't have to do the heavy tasks or something.
Brings us right back to that my son is my man thing, and it's just going to be gross every time. If the only way your son can be relieved to actually go back to being a child is when you actually manage to get a man, it's just never going to be okay for me. Even when a man is in prison, it's just not okay.
I get what you're saying, but utility, like the
I know it's utility. Yeah, it's a deficit. It's a deficit thing. Yeah, it can function. It can function. You don't have to lean into that. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't.
You kind of do, Bree. I'm telling you. I'm gonna give you a practical example. Like the grass had my mom was renting the house. Grass has to be cut. So either no man around, either I cut it or we pay somebody to cut it.
Or she can
paying costs money.
Or she can cut it. Or she can pay somebody. Yeah. What's wrong with that? Like money? That's the thing. Like
money's not infinite.
Exactly.
Everybody
but that's what I'm saying.
It's a money tree.
So what kind of person we talking about? Somebody who in the hood broke, don't have no money, nothing like that, right? Like
I mean that's where a lot of this stuff comes from. Right. Like, a lot of this is more predominant in poorer aspects of our culture and communities. Okay. I'm gonna get to this question in just a second. So
go ahead.
Not that there are not deficits, both emotional, physical, mental in other communities, but again, the propensity.
But for me, it's not so much as cutting the grass or having responsibilities around the house. Like even
you're talking about the emotional side.
Yeah, I'm talking about the emotional side. Like that the extra weight, that added weight of you're the protector, you're this. I think all people who are part of the family unit should contribute to the household. Like even though I do respectful parenting and we're a 2-parent household, like my kids still take care of their stuff. They wash their clothes because that's a respect thing. You live here, you respect your items, your space, your time, my time. So that can still be done without all of that extra. That's what I mean by like that added energy does not have to be a part of the equation to have a functioning running house, even as a single parent. It just doesn't. That extra added weight of you're standing in for the emotional need or the security a man would provide, that doesn't have to be there. Now, functionally, everybody got to pitch in. Yeah. I'm okay with that. I think that's going to happen either way.
I see what you're saying, but the deficit of a person who's never risen above a mailroom, who creates a business and is now trying to make a functioning business, they're going to have to incentivize the employees that they're hiring. And also, like saying you're the man of the house, I'm hiring for CEO. You're going to have a lofty position. Like, so how do you get people to, I think it's a natural response to try to get people to buy in to a system. But if you're coming from a deficit, again, a deficit of a lack of knowledge, because again, you just have not operated on the level that you're now trying to operate before. You haven't seen it operate and you're just trying to make it. This pure magic manifestation. Boom.
Oh yeah. Just like the guy at the beginning, like you ain't got them skills. You ain't got them soft skills to do it functionally.
Yeah. So you can't impart it to the kids. You can't incentivize them properly. You can't have I would say a functioning structure to get them included into the family dynamic without maybe some salesmanship that's unnecessary,
or just
maybe some added pressure
on their personhood, or just cussing them out and just like force. Pure force.
Coercion.
Coercion
or force.
All
of that. Right. All of those are just ways I don't have the influence necessary to get what I want, so I have to use stronger tactics, which I think are understandable. Bravo with Sheila, hello, and M Mills, hello. Thank you both for tapping in today. I want to go back to JJ's question. Serious question. Is there hope for the Black culture as a whole to heal from hundreds of years of trauma? What do you think?
Like
all at once.
With it. All at once together.
Man.
No, not together. Because I think it's individual work. You know, it's individual work.
No.
And I think people like when people hide in group dynamics, they don't have to admit they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So I mean, you're gonna have to break up the group. People like to tuck in the back, you know, chill in the cut, you know, not be accountable in groups. Sorry, I have a cold, y'all. So I think that's probably not gonna happen as a whole. It's gonna take each person being accountable for their lack, their dysfunction. Hell no, nope, nah.
I can't stand yellow.
Yeah, so no, and I let that go a long time ago. Like I'll drive by every once in a while, see what y'all doing. Y'all painted the shutters a different color. You mean collectively? Yeah, no, I'ma still say no. I'm not a collectivist though. Rashawn's more of a collectivist, so let's see what he said.
Stop it!
You are a collectivist. No, you're.
I'm a balanced individual. So I believe in collectivism and individualism.
Individualism is balanced.
No, it's not.
Do you understand? Okay, I'm not gonna do this with you, but go ahead.
Because see, right now I'm gonna tell you, like, just America, the culture is individualism. Like, so what we tell people and promote is individualism, but that's not how a society functions. That's counterproductive and counterintuitive. Hey, we're going to have a body of people that work together individually. That's stupid.
But even in individualism, you still have a responsibility to other people. It's just to what extent.
Right. But see, individualism is the responsibility is to yourself.
No, and there's still other people, even within the individual.
No, it's not that there's not. I get what you're saying. There are still other people, but the onus is to yourself. Personal responsibility is one of the terms. So your responsibility is to yourself in an individualist collective, which is problematic in an actual society that needs some cohesion and unity. So that's why I say we have to balance out individualism and because we're actually they're aiming in different patterns. So you have a society which by its very nature is collectivist. It's a collection. A society is a collection.
What?
Let's go to the fundamentals, Bree. Let's go to the fundamentals.
No, I'm going off the actual definition though.
Okay, I'm about to pull it up. We about to pull it up.
We finna do this. This is why I wasn't trying to do this, because we finna do this. Because my understanding is even an individual, like you still have a responsibility. Like even me as I have responsibility with my kids, my husband, myself, and like maybe the immediate family. But I feel like in collectivist culture, it just goes way farther. Like when you start talking about the ism of it.
That's a spectrum. We're going to the ism. Individualism, the habit or principle of being independent and self-reliant.
Right.
Society is not self-reliant. I didn't pave the road. I didn't get my own food. So society, we have a society that's very not self-reliant. We have a very reliant, independent social structure. So that would require collectivism. If we have something where people are groomed to be dependent, as the
I mean, there's definitely socialist and collectivist aspects of our society,
right?
Like
so we have to have collectivism, but again, a social theory favoring freedom of action of individuals, over collective or state control. But we have a lot of laws on the federal, state, and local level, which is state control. And we promote the individual over the collective. It's me over everybody. There's a lot of individualism that we espouse. We talk about individualism a lot.
Right.
But we need to practice collectivism because we are a collective. So that's where I was going, because that is cognitive dissonance. That right there, because like we want to be individualistic. It's just about me. I got to take care of myself. But our social structure is not set up like that. So we're fooling ourselves. This delusion that we get to be individualistic in a social structure where we're dependent upon each other is why people are so dehumanizing to each other. I don't need you. But guess what you do? Because you can't do anything on your own. You need to even make money that somebody else controls. You're not even actually making the money. Somebody's giving it to you because you're exchanging your time to them. You're dependent upon them for a job. So there's a mental issue that we have trying to call ourselves individualists while practicing collectivism. That very same thing that we're seeing in the relationship space, that I don't need a man, but I want him to come in and be he's got to be a giver. Like, he's got to pay for the day. What's that term they keep using? It starts with a P. What is it? Provider. A provider. He's got to be a provider. That's a collectivist principle, but I don't need a man. It's individualism. That's what the manosphere and the red pill is fighting back against, is that cognitive dissonance of trying to say I'm individual and independent, but I need you
when it comes to your accountability. Like when it comes to holding you accountable, you're individual.
Yeah,
but you want the collective to come to your rescue.
So we're all trying to privatize gains for myself and then socialize the losses. Everybody shares my losses. If I do bad, everybody shares it. If I mess up, everybody helps me clean up. But it's when it's time for me to win, it's just me. Nobody gets any part of my. So that's a big problem. To answer JJ's question, that's the issue. American culture is that sick, twisted, teaching you to be an individual inside of a collective, so that you actually become like an insurgent. You become a sleeper cell, because you're trying to sabotage the collective by being an individual. But nobody thinks about it that way. If you're a part of a system that's supposed to be a machine where all the gears need to be moving in a certain way, but you're an independent, I'm going to spin this way. You throw everything off. And a culture that tells you can move any kind of way you want when you need gears that all work in order, that's I don't even know what to call that. I know it's sabotage.
Capitalism has written into it. That's what I'm saying. Like I think that we actually behave more like American culture and capitalist culture. All these other cultures that we want to believe that whatever Black culture, whatever, don't exist to me. People say they're not American. We be acting like Americans. So I don't know. That's gonna be all right with Black culture. I don't know what that is. I don't even know what that is at this point. And a lot of the examples of Black culture are kind of what we're talking about today, which one aspect of it is this parent-child relationship that is completely not okay.
No society is truly individual. It's the difference between liberty versus freedom. I think before we even think about being a collective, we have to work on ourselves first as an individual, right? I mean, I'm open for correction. And see, this is why I say it has to be married. That's why I say
you come back. It's like individuals, like battery cells, you know. The more cells that are working, the more charge the battery can hold. So I think
provided they all hold the same polarity.
Right.
Like I know there's another layer of dynamic to this, because if everybody comes together in a collective, like rowing the boat in different directions, you're not going to move where you're intended to go. So so the individual has to be tuned to the value of the collective.
Right. It's going to have to decide it's going to be a part of this. Like I am.
That's what culture is supposed to do.
Functioning in this. Yeah.
Culture is supposed to shape the individuals towards the movement of the collective. And that's what's broken down. Our culture actually breeds people against the collective, which I know there's a word for it that's completely escaping me right now. Go ahead, Brie. You gotta go ahead, push back.
No, I was just thinking, like, if I would say that statement is true of black culture. I think we function as Americans, and capitalism we're participating in the collective of capitalism. So you talking about black culture, then yes, but capitalism, we all be playing our part, even though we don't want to. Consumerism, I mean, it's so baked in at this point that I think people are acting toward that as a collective. Definitely. Like, that's one thing that I think people are acting towards a collective as, even if it's not a conscious choice, because it's just so baked into society now. So I would agree with your statement when it comes to this idea of black culture. People ain't coming to the collective when it comes to that. People are just kind of trying to do their own thing. And it's like, well, because we're all brown, we're part of the same culture, but it doesn't make a collective. And that's kind of like my biggest problem with it. There is no black collective to me. That's my whole problem with it. And that's why we're having this problem, because we're just putting people in a collective that they may or may not even identify with or behave as if they're a part of. They may say they're not a part of it, but there's just nothing in there. So that's what it wasn't necessarily pushback to what you're saying. It's just like, I think what you're saying is dead on with black culture. But I think a lot of us do act as, consumerism, capitalism. We all play our part in it. It's so baked in, and there's like fail safes to make sure we still contribute to it. So, yeah.
So as far as black as a collective or culture, I was just listening to Real Talk with Yanni, and she was talking about that black women need to separate themselves from other black women.
Yeah,
like the Sexy Reds and the City Girls and the Megan Thee Stallions. Like the Ratchet group needs to be separate.
Trying to put the Ratchets on the island. She said, "Can we separate ourselves from the Ratchets?"
So at that point, that's to me, that's what freedom looks like. People can have freedom of expression, and they can have different views and points, but then they're going to have you form subgroups like churches and denominations. Like that's the natural extension of freedom. People are going to go different ways. That's individualism. Is like, I can have a different path and start pursuing it, and you keep going and further and segment out until you end up with all these little micro niches of people. Like I'm the people. I only wear clothes on the left side. Eventually, you get to really strange fringe groups.
Tribalism.
Yeah, that's all that is. I'm okay with that, but I'm not okay with we're going to be individual. Like, we got the Ratchets over here, and we got the professionals over here. If we're going to have different outcomes and aims, there can't really be a collective, because if the Ratchets, because see me, I'm not a big fan of the Sexy Reds. The Sukianas, I think that's a problem. I think it's an issue for a culture that wants to be a collective. If you want to have a collective, that's not a path I want the people to follow.
And that's why I didn't listen. I don't know. I give up. I gave up on it a long time ago, because I just like it ain't gonna happen. Not if the society we actually live in promotes individualism. People are gonna be individualists. Like,
because it's
just
easy.
Not gonna happen.
It's the path of least resistance, because I'm not responsible to you. If I'm an individual, I hold no responsibility to live to your standards.
Exactly. And that's how people act. So I'm not going to keep on wasting my energy chasing behind Sexy Reds, telling them to get on code.
Nah, there's no point to that.
Doing it. It's not.
Yeah, there's no point in trying to chase them down or convince them, because people are going to do what they want. They're free to do what they want. They're going to take the path of least resistance. They're going to choose the path of pleasure. I get it. But I also don't think that we can all go to the same place using all of these different means and methods. Like we can't, like success, whatever success is, as an American, as a black person, there is no level of success if everybody's included, because some of these things are actually counter to each other. Some of these things actually work against each other, and trying to include everybody is like, there's very fine people on both sides. If you, me and the KKK being part of the same group trying to make America great, one of us wants the other one dead. You know what I'm saying? Like one of us wants the other one dead.
In black culture, but because we're black, we just get put together. Like we just need to stop doing that first and foremost. Let's just stop doing that. Let's just stop putting all brown people in the same collective, because some people ain't trying to do that. But yeah, we went on a tangent about that. Sorry, I'm sorry.
So no, you cool. You gotta apologize. So JJ, so I don't see the healing, because people are trying to heal in different directions. That to some, I don't see black people as a whole trying to heal in the same ways. And some of the ways that people are trying to heal, like sexual freedom and expression, I don't see as healthy the way they do. So that kind of dynamic is going to be problematic. Yeah, if we took the path of standing 10 toes down, we all would make it. Yeah, so there's issues to that. So I believe in the principle of those who are with you. Like, you work with those who are with you. That's why I be here with Yella and Bree and the people that do show up. I work with them. I work with the people who are willing to show up. The people that support me. The people that I support. And we find reciprocity and balance in that. It doesn't matter about your gender. Doesn't matter about your color. I'm not really worried about that. What I am going to check you on is character. If you are a complete and utter asshole,
right,
I'm probably not going to be able to work with you too long.
And
It's
for
just
me,
true.
I don't play with the kid. I don't play by the kids.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. I'll be like, we don't kink shame, but if you fucking with kids, I'ma drag your ass and probably report you. So yeah. Yeah, I agree, Greg. That's you do have a responsibility to give to it and participate and care for it to some degree. But
That's to some degree.
But the idea is you as an individual work on yourself and bring yourself to, we're not doing that either. We ain't doing
we're not
either
doing
one
that
of them.
either.
We're not
Which
doing
is the problem.
individual. We're not doing individualism right either. Because individualism isn't just I go out here and do dumb stuff and like I don't affect people. True individualism, you understand that by being self-sufficient, then you're better able to not take from others who may not have it to give and like contribute to the society you are a part of, even as an individual. So we're not doing individualism right either.
Absolutely.
We're just being children who just like don't want to do anything, just want to do what we want to do. And we don't know what we're talking about. So
bratty toddlers.
Right.
Bratty toddlers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're not teaching self-reliance. We're not teaching people to even think for themselves. And at that point, you're not making people individuals. You're actually not. You're actually not teaching individuals.
They're just gonna be eaten up by the consumerist machine.
Yeah.
They're gonna get their value out of them anyway.
It's super backwards. It's definitely super backwards. But Bree, I think we have come to that point where we can start to wrap up. Now, I know
we didn't really get into the moms and the daughters, so we're gonna have to like get that.
We didn't talk about that. I brought it up.
I mean, we kind of did. We brought it up, but we're gonna have to do another part on that about. I just want to. Eventually, I have decided I do want to talk about the sexualization of women from other women, and I think it starts with that place because we've talked a lot about the dynamic of like the moms and the sons. And thank you for sharing that. I was over here crying, but I got a cold, so I had to hold it in because y'all would have seen so much snot coming out of me. It would have. I've been looking like that snap filter, but I think like you sharing that was definitely like insight into like how that plays off. But I would like to hear also the women who have, because I think it manifests differently, like because y'all did put on that, but it's almost like this vitriol that the women kind of experience coming up. It's like a lot of offloading domestic chores and like watching siblings and then like hating you, and then like if a boyfriend comes around, then it's like you're my competition now. Like a lot of the essay with the boyfriends, like all of that stuff. Like the moms who dress their daughters up like them, the toddlers in the midriffs and the Fashion Nova sets. It's a lot of that. So I feel like that's a whole nother aspect of this dynamic that we kind of touched on today that needs to be kind of called out more, because these little girls aren't just like turning 12 and becoming like thought pockets out of nowhere. They were groomed to be this way.
I know I just don't have as much to offer on that side. We might need to find somebody that can actually
I mean, because like my mom was awesome. Shout out to Lois. And my mom had a degree in child psychology as well, so like she kind of had a cheat code a little bit. So I didn't experience that. So I always like to, because I think one of the things we have to do, which I think this stream did a good job of, is just like we need to start saying like it's not normal. Like it's normal in the sense of everybody does it, but it's not okay. It's not good. It doesn't get good outcomes, and there are better ways. So like, I think that we need to have that. But yeah, that's a whole stream of its own. So we'll have to find a way to do that. Whenever the conversation happens, whether I get another woman to come talk about it, it'll happen on this channel. So y'all will see it. We need to start hitting our, don't play with me. Because Rashawn said we're going to wrap up, and I will go on a soapbox for a whole hour. Do not play with me.
Hey, listen.
Not play with me about don't start talking about hitting kids. Yeah. Do not start talking about hitting kids in my face. Okay, my ears got hot. Sorry.
I bet.
My ears got really hot. My ears got real hot.
Not a fan of corporal punishment.
I'm not a fan.
A fan.
No.
Yeah, she said she be talking about stuff like that too. There's a lot of sexualization. Open-handed. What about flicks? What about forehead flicks? Or is it any like negative reinforcement that's pain related? The blinking lets me know that that's a no. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying there are not situations where you might have to hit your kid. I just think a lot of times those situations where kids are getting hit are not those situations.
No, they're really not. Yeah.
Most of the
It'll be
time,
kids
so.
being kids and they're getting hit.
They just breathing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm a human with my own thoughts and feelings. You got a glimpse of that, and now I'm getting my ass beat. You know what I'm saying? I had to blink twice and I read it. Yeah, I don't do that. I almost threw up.
Send it to Rashawn. What? Send what to Rashawn?
What? What we
I don't know.
sending? A
I
14-year-old
don't know.
makeup doesn't leave the house. And like, what kind of makeup? What are we talking about? Like, she got a little lip gloss on? Like, what are we talking about here? She's 14. What she got on? What she got
My
on?
mom had the fastest hands out there. It's how you learn manners. I
No,
don't
it's
know.
how
I
you
learned
learn how
manners.
to get hit. It's just how you learn how to get hit.
I learned how to be sneaky by
Yeah.
getting hit. I didn't learn manners from my.
You just get better at
Getting hit.
hiding it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, okay. Your youngest
Okay.
alliance has decided to follow the Islamic path.
Bree, you know, I don't know what you're talking about. I have a 14-year-old. I don't know what you're talking about. We was finna wrap up. I got time. What's up? I don't know
Hey,
what you're
listen,
talking
yeah.
about. Rashawn, you gotta go somewhere? Because it's late
Nah,
today.
nah, go ahead,
Didn't
come
y'all
on.
pour say y'all be out today? All right, so
I can't stand you.
I was
can't
just going
stand
back to what Yella said. He said that's what I sound like. Because I was asking where Labor Day came from. Y'all some haters.
Yeah.
But no, I'm poor
No.
too. But I don't know what you talking about. If she came out looking like a YouTube makeup tutorial, what kind of makeup tutorial?
Oh gosh.
I'm just saying, I don't know. There's like a lot.
Yeah,
of
because
different
he has a
makeup
picture in his
He
head.
has a picture in his head that's not in my head. So I need him to
Right.
communicate what he's talking about because
Yeah.
I be watching kawaii stuff and like
Yeah, at
and
14
anime
years
and
old.
stuff. So like I'm looking at people with the makeup styles I'm seeing may not be the same. So I need to know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
You're in a different algorithm. I think
Yeah.
we know what he's talking about. The people who are trying to be like that
pockets.
Kardashian, Meg Thee Stallion face. Yeah, the thigh pockets. That's a good thigh pockets. Thigh pockets. That
my 14-year-old
that makeup
wears
brand.
Okay. I don't know why a 14-year-old would be doing a whole beat face. And I really don't see a lot of 14-year-olds really doing that. I really don't.
I'm trying to think when I was taking nephew to high school.
Somebody like outside, like when I really go, like they might have a little something on, a little lip gloss, you know. And
On
I
a
don't
day to
think-
day, on a
Yeah,
day to
they
day
don't
at the
be
high
having-
school, they weren't.
Yeah.
But if there was an event, when there was an event though,
Like prom, I see girls do
Yeah.
beat face for prom, but they usually like juniors and seniors. So I'm not really seeing like, you know what I'm saying? The 8th graders. Oh, see, white kids. See, I don't know what them white kids be doing now. I don't know what white kids be doing. Besides the ones at my daughter's school, and they little Christian white kids. So they don't play it at her school. You can't wear jeans with holes in them or color hair. And if you wear makeup, it got to be very natural. Because like my daughter wears makeup to cover up like some little acne scars. So, you know. But that's it. I mean, but I still don't think you need to hit them because if your child doing that, that's your fault, ain't it?
I mean, so how would you correct it? So if they're doing it and you've
But I feel
expressed to them that they you don't want them doing that and they keep
But
doing it.
like, why did they decide they could do this? And then they like actually went and got the stuff. Where they get the money from? And then they like left the house that way. So I'm just like, how do we get to the point where like this 14-year-old is doing all this stuff with a whole parent, but they get hit for doing it? So who gonna hit the parent? I volunteer.
oh, snap.
I'm just saying, like, it just don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Well, I get that.
Stop makeup to cover up
I get what you're
blemishes.
saying,
Makeup
like,
you wear when you
but
try
I'm
to
just saying,
fuck.
like, the parent would be the authoritarian in the situation, but that same parent probably the one who bought them the makeup.
Greg, it's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so
I get
that would
what
be
you're saying.
stupid. That would
Yeah.
make sense to me logically. Like,
I get what you're saying. If you're participating in it and they're having a problem with it, I just heard this podcast last night that I actually want you to react to with me at some point. They kind of talked about a dynamic within the family of you enable it sometimes and then you pull back and reject it other times. Like you got to have a
Yeah.
consistent message. So that's got to be a thing.
I mean, I went
It is
behind my
something.
parents' back. It's built into my parenting philosophy that she gonna do some stuff behind her back, but like where they getting the money from? Because like she's selling puss. Somebody else giving her the money? Are you giving her the money? Because it's very easy to like makeup expensive. Like, so
It's not cheap.
unless she's stealing, but if you got a teenager who's stealing, you already kind of got another issue. on hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know how to solve for character problems if they already got that far.
If they got that many character problems at 14, you already fucked up. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
For you to turn around and beat them, it's probably not gonna work anyway. I'm not gonna say that's not what parents do, but you already failed on the front end.
But I'm also going to make room for impulsivity. Like he's saying, like there's also going to be some impulsivity. 14 to 18, there's going to be some impulsive,
sneak
stupid
and do
decisions.
stuff. That's like built into. I'm assuming my daughter's sneaking and doing stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's my. There's room for that a little bit. But the stuff you're talking about, stealing cars, how you get money to get makeup, like that's a lot. And if the parent ain't noticing, I just feel like leading up to you going out the house with this makeup on. That's a lot to not notice on the way. That's all I'm saying. That's a lot of not noticing on the way. That's all I'm saying.
So I can get a better understanding, because I feel like this is also leading into exactly what you were talking about. You wanted to get more into the sexualization,
right?
Like, because that makeup thing is about, like you said, we trying to fuck. So how is it that you perceive this sexualization of children? Because there is one in society which is hypersexual.
Right.
Our society is hypersexual. These young kids are seeing it, they're hearing it, they're on the internet, and they're going to want to partake in this activity, whether it's listening to the music or looking like the women on IG.
Especially if their
or
parents
television.
are hypersexual.
Fair.
So
how does that?
Most of the time, their parents are probably a wee bit hypersexual, and hypersexuality doesn't mean you're fucking everything that moves. And some people are very pious who are hypersexual, which is why they're pious. And what asceticism?
Yeah,
is that how you say it? ASC,
rejecting all.
That's still a hypersexual. That's just you just react to it by going into that. Yeah. But your mind is hypersexual.
Every semblance of it. Yeah, because you have to suppress it all. So you're actively thinking about everything that suppresses. So
right.
Yeah, I get that.
So this is part of it. I think parents are just completely not aware of their own, how like they exist in the world and how people experience them. Because like I was not a hypersexual teenager. Like I wasn't a very sexual teenager at all. Like I didn't have sex till I was like damn near 20. I had no interest in it. It just wasn't a thought. I didn't listen to the music everybody listened to. Like my mom wasn't out here like that. Like I was just such a kid. I was playing with my Barbies till I was like 15, 16. Like I just wasn't interested in it. My daughter is not hypersexual. Like none of my kids are. They're not, like they have friends who she grew up with. Like she's 14 now. My mom had a home daycare. So there's girls that we've known since they were like very little that are friends with our daughter. I've had the privilege because my mom had a home daycare for 25 years, maybe 30. So I've had the privilege of seeing a lot of kids from little to growing up and seeing how they turned out and like how they changed and all kind of stuff. And we've had that ability to see that outside of kids you may see at school or whatever every once in a while. So no, I think a lot of it is the parents are hypersexual themselves to some degree. And the kids are just, they're like numb to it or like nose blind to it to some degree. Like I know we talk about, okay, so like with my kids, I'll be like, so y'all done ran up on some porn yet? Like y'all done seen some? What we watching?
Oh man.
And my oldest was like, oh my God, like I was in Discord one time, like this link came up and I knew I shouldn't have clicked it, but I clicked it anyway. And I was like, did you watch it? What was it? And she was like, it just popped up, and we're like having the conversations about it. Because I want to know, like, what they're, what are you seeing? And like, how do you feel about it? And like, so I don't know. I just feel like if you're doing all that and you're like, I just don't feel like people act like their kids just wake up and they're like thought pockets one day.
Yeah.
And it's just weird to me. Like, it's just so much you're just not seeing, like, on the way. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. But
you're right, Greg. Bored humans do have sex when they have opportunity. But I think that's that's a little bit. I mean, some, but that's not.
I'm just saying, but like that's not like
that's most people's game. Most people's game is hide the pickle.
People need hobbies now because that's typically what you do when you're bored. You do something, a hobby.
Yeah, that's a lot of people's hobbies.
Unless you're hypersexual. and then that
Our culture
is
is
a logical path.
hypersexual.
Our culture is hypersexual. So that's what I'm saying. Like the point of that is
That's the
saying
fact.
like hypersexuality doesn't look one way. And a
Yeah.
lot of kids who are hypersexual have hypersexual parents
Yeah.
who may not
I'm with you.
identify as hypersexual and need
Yeah, that's a problem. That's true.
Yeah. But a lot of people
That's
are
facts.
hypersexual.
So, like, real quick, what are some of the other ways that people show up hypersexual? I know you said like asceticism and trying to. I'll say the repressive. I don't think a lot of people notice that. If you're always bringing every time your kids come up and say something, and you're like, "Are you messing with that little boy? Or you mess with that little girl?"
Right.
If
I
you
hate
always bring it. If you're always doing introducing sex to every conversation, like in a
Right.
negative way, even like a punitive way, that's still hypersexual. You're still fixated on sexuality, and kids
Yeah.
pick up on that stuff.
Yeah, because like my mom didn't do that. So it was always weird when people did that to me, like growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like if I wanted to wear makeup or if I wanted to wear a certain outfit, like she gave me the benefit of the doubt because she knew like who I was. And I wasn't thinking about a boy. I wasn't thinking about trying to be attractive. She didn't let me walk around and like be completely unaware of like, hey, if you dress this way, people are gonna assume things about you. She taught me that. So I kind of knew that on the front end. So like, you know, I like kawaii fashion since I was little and like Harajuku stuff. So I always wore crazy stuff and I like makeup. And, you know, she didn't project that on me, but then I would get family members or people like in the Kingdom Hall, because I was Jehovah's Witness, who would just like project all this weird sexual stuff on what I was doing. It was just weird. It was weird. Like my dad didn't do it either, really. So it was just always weird, like when people did that to me. But I think that's normal for a lot of people. They see everything through the lens of sexual. Like you're trying to be, I don't know. I'm not divorcing things from sexuality, but I'm just saying, like, I see that a lot.
Like not everything has to lead back to sexuality. Now I promise you, because even with my nephew, I remember one time he was walking around doing this. Like he had his hands like this, and he would walk through. Like he would walk around places like this. So everybody, now first of all, two hands. Nobody walks around with two hands out like this. Like not normal
Right.
human being.
You see a puppy? I'll be like, are
So-
you trying to be a puppy? What's up?
They got on him because they was like, "What you gay?" Da, 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 da. And I was like, "Gay people don't even walk around like this. So
Gay
why?"
people don't walk around like that.
But again, jump to sexuality, and I was like,
maybe he
like,
saw
what are you
it
doing?
somewhere. Maybe he saw it
Emperor
on the show.
Palpatine. Emperor
Oh,
Palpatine.
exactly.
He would
be
being
my
Emperor
first thought.
Palpatine.
That would
Because
be my
Emperor
first
Palpatine
thought.
walked around with the little robe that draped off his arms, and I was like, man, see, that's completely innocent. Y'all up here getting on him about. I'm like, y'all
For everything that you
down.
could link back to sexuality and knee jerk, if you see something you've never seen before, there's also a way that you could like it could just not be sexual. So that was my first thought. Like I was thinking he probably saw it. If I see a kid doing something strange, like they saw it on TV. Who did you see doing that? Even when my kids start saying stuff weird that they've never said, I'm like, who said that? What show did you watch? I'm assuming that it's never sexual, like off the bat, you know. So I always think that's weird. I'm a pony. I was like, he's seen somebody. You're speaking to the sexual repression of overly strict religions. Girls in that situation they're not. They're maybe some will. I think some of that depends
some
on
definitely
if the repression is a
desire.
resort
If
of
desire.
hypersexuality leaning to the side of asceticism, then yes, they're still being raised under hypersexual culture. Even though it's a repressive, that's still a hypersexuality required to be repressive of sexuality. So I put them in the same category as somebody who is not, who's doing all the things. You know what I'm saying?
Quantum is the worst.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just saying, like, I still think that someone who's maybe they will become freaks, but those parents think, well, why is my kid so hypersexual? Well, you're hypersexual. You just aren't free to express.
You're just not horny at the moment. Like you're not
You're just
expressing
not free
horniness.
to
Like we had that
express
conversation.
it,
Yeah.
because of your religion or whatever. Because I grew up in a very Jehovah's Witnesses. You know.
So see, Quantum's the person that Greg was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Like if two people get bored, they're having sex. Sex is the bestest topic ever. Quantum.
I don't know.
Hypersexual.
I can't relate to that, but yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, so that's a very repressive. But I think because my parents weren't like weird like that. Kind of weird when the conversation is about kids, though.
I hate yelling coming out the bushes.
Yelling
came out the bushes sniping.
No,
I can't.
not when we're talking about kids. Nah.
Greg is the person Greg was talking about.
Right.
So
I don't know.
We know. We know.
Yeah. I think there's a healthy relationship you can have to sexuality, and I just don't think one side or the other is good. But I think a lot of parents are hypersexual and don't realize it, and when their kids come out acting like them, they be like, "Oh my God, where did
and I
they
would
get
even
this
say
from?"
with the current trend of the ratchet hypersexuality. And again, I listened to what's his face? Dreads, leftist, FD Signifier. I listened to him, and he made a good point. This is not really new. The ratchets have been there, like, cause there was the Uncle Luke's and the Trinas and the Kias. That stuff's been there. Cool, I get it. I never listened to them either. That wasn't my thing. But having said that, with the hypersexuality, and even it's getting worked into getting worked into common culture. I know somebody said something about the teachers that was using Sexy Red lyrics to get the kids to pay attention. Yeah. Okay, that was you. Yeah, so it's like that kind of stuff is problematic because you're using the hypersexual content to drive mundane content. So now everything becomes tied to, like, that's your motivator to even to read, to do math. I'm using hypersexuality is my conduit to get to the regular tasks of life, which is that's
compliance.
That's a problematic training,
right?
Like, I mean, so I that part.
Just like for me, that's what I was saying with the whole Sexy Red thing. Like the teacher using that to get that. Like kids are gonna be kids. Like we was out here looking at wild shit on the internet in the 90s. Like I'm not sitting here pretending like kids don't do stuff, but like my teachers definitely weren't like signing off on it in essence by like, hey, have y'all seen that crazy video that all the kids are sharing? I'm sure they knew about it. You know what I'm saying? But for the sake of being relatable to the students, they didn't like, kind of sign off on it. That's where I'm like, that's kind of problematic. Like kids gonna be watching it. It's salacious. It's new.
They're going to sneak. They're going to do it. But yeah, we should not make it a part of. We should not incorporate more of that. I think certain things should remain underground. Like certain things should be underground, and you should have to seek to find them. It shouldn't be on the front page. Everything shouldn't be on the front page. Not everything's fit for that. That's why we are the bestest team of chaos. We keep it real no matter what the topic is. It's cool. Listen, I ain't even tripping. Y'all can talk about all the sexual one,
But that's why I like kind of bow to conversations when I know back in the day when I first jumped into this space and they were talking about teenage girls, how to get our teenage daughters to stop doing this and this. And I'm like, I can't have this conversation because a lot of y'all are just projecting sexuality. I mean, these are people talking about their 12-year-old daughters and like, I'm like, is she doing any of that? Like, is she doing anything to make you feel like is she doing anything? And they're like, no. I'm like, she's 12. So like, that's kind of weird. Like, you're her dad, and you're just like, she already in her mind, you're like, she's a hoe. She's 12.
I think there's fear there. Like, if I'm being real, I think well, obviously fear, but I mean, I think it's a personal fear because it's like, we don't want our daughters to turn into the type of women that we chase. Like, because we know why we chase them. We chase them a lot of times because we're chasing the broken side of them that makes them accessible, because they'll trade sex for attention. So it's like, man, we never want our daughters to be the ones that we're chasing. But the fact that we put so much energy into chasing that particular dynamic, I mean, that's what we're training.
Especially, it's kind of weird if you're like married though, to their mom, who is not those things.
But if that's what you're paying attention to, I mean, that's what you don't want them to fall
weird
victim
to me. I don't know. It's just weird to me.
Yeah, once you get married, you think you would have a model of, of what
if your mom's modeling like a good example, and you're like modeling by marrying their mom, that like these women are getting chosen as well.
But low key, okay, I'm gonna tell you, because we're still doing the same thing. It's actually the exact same thing, but it's just we're not having sex with the people that we're focused on. Because like, even if we're married, I'm married. I'm a 40-year-old, 45-year-old man, and I went to Best Buy and I bought myself a microphone. These 304s. Why is the first thing that you decided to talk about when you had a platform?
Right,
the
304s. Not your virtuous wife.
Not the mothers, not the church, not the children that you mentor. What you're focused on when you have a moment are the hoes. You're just not having sex with them.
Right.
But they're still on your mind. They get all of your energy. Everybody sees that. You're talking about the hole. You're looking at the hole. You're putting up pictures. I'm gonna put the picture up of the hole against this woman.
On Instagram looking at the holes for research purposes.
For research purposes, I'm gonna talk them. I'm gonna joke about them. I'm gonna make skits. I'm gonna do all this stuff. I'm going to pull up the IG baddies. I'm gonna talk about BBLs this week. I'm gonna talk about that. They're still getting all your attention. And if you have kids and they know you do this stuff, they see what you're giving your attention to, whether it's negative attention, because that's one of the currencies in our current capitalistic society. One of the currencies is attention.
Yeah, this
bad
doesn't
publicity,
matter if it's negative or positive.
Or positive. It does not have to be positive. The fact that you're spending all of your time, you're going to take away from because you're walking away. You're walking away from your child, and you're walking away from your wife for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12 hours, sometimes on a day, for be a part of a panel to talk about these women that you
don't even have to. And don't have to deal with.
Don't have to do anything to do with. You don't have anything to do with them, allegedly, but you're choosing to spend an inordinate amount of time, daily or weekly, on this subset of women that you don't have to interact with. That's a strange phenomenon. And you can't tell me wives and kids can't pick up on that.
Right. People are very good at, even if they don't say it, kids especially. Like, I feel like they're really good and they just pick up what you putting down, even if you don't know. You don't have to explicitly say it. They just know a lot of stuff. And I don't know, Greg. If my daughter wants, so how old? Like, I don't know. I don't think beating can fix it. If she already fucking, beating is definitely not gonna fix it. She's trying to get beat by something else if she already fucking. So you too late.
Using sex to get things other than sex is the problem. I don't know. If you're using sex to get sex is just the same as using sex to get anything else. I don't think there's a virtuous reason.
I feel like sex is just in its general state in exchange.
Yeah.
Like when we first learn about it, it's not. I mean, you got to think about the path to discovering sex. Oh.
Hey.
Well.
Hey.
Well.
Oh shit.
There's that theory.
Yeah, there's that one. I've heard that one. I mean, I wouldn't spank her.
I don't know. If your daughter's having sex, beating her out, you're late. You're too late. You're not to say you shouldn't teach her, educate her. There's not something she can learn there and listen. She might still need to learn, but you're too late for the beating. Like, I feel like by the time kids are like 14 or 15, most of your parenting, as far as like instilling values, helping them manage their temperament, stuff like that, is already behind you. So if she's 15 and you're like laying hands on her because she decides she wanted to screw some big head little boy, like, you a little late on the beating. Like, you might as well go ahead and make her help her get some birth control, teach her about STIs. It's just a lot more things and energy that can be spent if they're already have gotten to that place. Like,
14-year-old in makeup is what I said to beat them. Because see, here's the thing.
I think
this is what Bree's talking about. Like, tell me if I'm wrong, Bree. Because to stop what you're talking about, Greg, with the influences of society being persistent and constant throughout their life, you would have to preemptively load them with negative reinforcement of these things. So you would like a puppy training. You would have to like a invisible fence.
Yeah.
You would be having to harm them in preparation, like right before they go to the makeup counter. You know what I'm saying? Like, swat them a couple times and then walk them past the makeup counter. You would have to load them with like some negative stimuli.
Preload them with some
so that every time somebody pulled out some lipstick, they're like, like.
And also, like, understand why people do it. Like, if a 14-year-old who's not sexually active, if the person's not even sexually active yet, like, okay, then they're doing this for other reasons. Like, right? Maybe I put on red lipstick to be sexy to my husband because I want to smash him. But like, a 12-year-old, 13-year-old is probably not doing that because they're not even indulging in sexual relations, right? So it's like, when it comes to the kids, I think a lot of times if you think about why they would do that or feel like it's necessary, then you can kind of preemptively kind of try to do things to mitigate that probably happening. You know what I mean? Like, you can do things to to help mitigate that. If you kind of really understand the psychology of why someone would do that, if they're not actually trying to do the thing that most people who do it do.
Yeah. I feel you though, Greg. I mean, but I think you wouldn't have to get the beating if you actually were having conversations. Like, honestly, Greg, if you were having conversations with your daughter, which still goes back to what Bree was talking, there's no way to get to the scenario that you got to at 14 with the makeup and having conversations before that happened without some hypersexualization. Like you're thinking about this all through their formative years to have conversations before they even gotten to the point of wanting makeup. Or you waiting and you're reactive. The other option is either you're proactive and you're hypersexual, or you're reactive and wait until they actually have makeup and then you're whooping them to like, don't ever do this again, which they've already now groomed themselves or whatever influences have been around them. Yeah. And gotten to the place where they wanted to do it. I don't know. It's going to be hard like from reactive. A human. Yeah.
It's reactive in that's often like not. And it's just because like that's something that I'm like, I pay attention to a lot is I like to see like if I can, because I have girls and like I've known a lot. I like to watch them, when they're like 9, like from the time they're like 7, from the time they're like 7, you can start to kind of the hypersexualization. Like if they are around it or they have parents, you start to actually see it in their behavior at 7. That's just from like having nieces and like seeing girls in daycare and seeing them like you see them at 7 one year and then by the time they're 13, I'm never surprised. Yeah. I'm never surprised by the trajectory. So you can see it very early. So just knowing that, I just think it's reactive to respond at 14. You're 7 years too late.
Yes. So question, with the sexualization, now we have, it's our moral judgment about like that whole kid stuff and the son husband and that stuff. Like there's some weirdness there. We don't even know exactly where people just have problems with boundary issues and trying to fill the voids in themselves through their children, which is problematic. We can admit that because we're not allowing them to be humans. But as far as actual healthy sexuality, when do you think it's okay for children to start having those questions and conversations and seeing things like what as a parent?
Like seeing stuff.
Because my nephew, I had to accept like he's going to see stuff on the internet that I'm never going to know.
Before he's even like seeking it out. I mean,
exactly.
Like with technology, Mm-hmm. So what age?
Yeah, I mean, I remember something popped up. He told me something popped up on, I think it was back in the day, like Minecraft or something. He was playing. There was some kind of. They
just be lurking. Some of these games. It just be waiting. You be on Roblox.
Yes.
People putting stuff in there.
Yep.
I think it's hard for kids to like live in a vacuum where they're just not going to be exposed to anything like sexual before they're ready. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily, that's not really the goal to incubate them. I mean, I do try like as far as like YouTube and like I try to monitor them under a certain age a lot to make sure. But I don't know. I don't necessarily think that that's where we should be putting our energy because they're going to see stuff they're not expecting to see because it's just weirdos who like to show stuff to kids early. Yeah. So like as far as the age though, I feel like teenagers though. Like I fully expect teenagers to just go into this exploratory phase and like be curious about sex and like in America, like we don't really talk to our kids about it in healthy ways. And so a lot of them have no choice but to go to like adult material to like answer the questions. I remember being like 12 or 13 and like once I had questions about because I was like learning about puberty, like my mom kept books around and stuff. So she had medical books and stuff. So like she always encouraged us to read books. We had encyclopedias. So I just got really curious about a lot of stuff because my body was changing. And then, of course, I'm reading this book about puberty and they're like, your uterus. And like, this is the purpose of a period. So you can get pregnant. And then, of course, that leads to like, now you're like this awareness of sex and reproduction. And then I'm like, okay, I got to see this. Because like, what's going on? Like, what do you mean? I got to see how this works. I'm a visual person. So I definitely went into a point of exploratory adult entertainment because I just needed to see stuff. And then, of course, it's a rabbit hole. And you're like, wait, people are doing this and this. I just remember being so enamored with it because I was just really curious about it all because I was not doing it. And as an adult, I don't watch like 90% of that shit. But like, I mean, so I kind of leave room for that exploratory phase.
Yeah.
I try to have conversations about, okay, so that's not real life, right? Like, You know, that's not real life. Like, if you have actual legit questions about what's real, you can't believe everything you see on the internet. Okay, mom's a nurse here. You can ask me questions. Like, I will answer them. I'm not gonna, I will go through your shit. If you start showing me problematic behaviors, and I will start going through your stuff. So I'm not really trying to like shield them from the world, because you out here. I remember the shit we was looking at school on the computers. I'm not out here pretending like my kid ain't gonna be curious.
Yeah.
So
that's wise. That sounds like a good perspective. It's about how you react to it. That you can't shield them from it. You could try, but it would be futile. In this culture, like if you're in a major city, and they have access to internet, there's
I try to shield them to some degree, but like my oldest just got like TikTok. She still can't have Instagram till she's 16, but like she has like TikTok. They had YouTube Kids for the longest. She has access, so I can just kind of tell on her spirit though when she don't watch some weird shit. I don't know.
Yeah,
she be shook. Like they just see in her countenance, like the Bible says. I'd be like, you just seen some dark shit and you couldn't handle it. Like, I could tell.
You can tell with innocence. You can tell when innocence is seeping off somebody. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. I love Inya being a part of our little community, because when Inya sees some stuff, she be shooketh. Like, she be talking about slaying in the spirit. She be shooketh. Like, I love it. I love it so much. Like, not in a bad way. Like, I'm not trying to make fun of her. It's just so adorable that you can have a full blown adult. They got a family, kids, and some stuff is still like foreign to them. It's like, I love that somebody's not jaded. Like, because I know I come with like that very hard cynicism and jaded, and I've seen too much. And to know that somebody has not seen too much, I'm like, oh, that's so nice.
It's so nice. But you could tell, like, when they don't ran up on something, and it's like really, well, with my kids, you could definitely tell. Sit your daughter down. I think my daughter knows it, because she gets hugs from dad, and she has healthy relationships with her parents, and she has extended family. We be kicking it. My brothers, my mom, she has cousins who so she has a lot of male, like, I know that's not the case for a lot of women, especially if they have single mom, and then like they're just in this incubator of women. But my daughters definitely have a lot of men around, and like healthy, safe men. Like,
that's important.
Yeah, safe men. Not hypersexual men. So I think she'll know that.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I really wish more people had the experience of safety in their childhood.
Yeah,
that's I would say that's the scariest thing for me. Why I never really wanted kids, because I knew I had no way of assuring that if I had kids, I'd be able to make sure they grew up in a safe environment, like neighborhood wise. If I didn't have a certain level of economic stability, I wouldn't be able to ensure that they were safe, like just random crime, street crime. I couldn't avoid that if I didn't reach to a certain station, like a high degree of it, because I was always in the hood. And then
and then
the family safety, the
family
safety.
Even we still got some problematic family, extended family, people that be around, every once in a while, and I still be like,
I don't know about you.
We deal with it. I mean, that's a real reality, and I gotta be extra on. And it's just like, that's the thing. Like, I think because people are so, I don't know, people don't be noticing, but because people think people are so hypersexual, or think certain things are so normal, I just be like, damn, you ain't even really seen my kids like that. In the moment you see them, here you come being weird, like just being weird. You don't even know these kids, like. And I like that, to me, automatically means you're not a safe person. They're not even really saying nothing out of pocket. But because I have this lens of like hypersexuality, being sexuality projected on kids is weird if they're not like, I see it. And it's just like the most small things. It's just weird. Like, you see my daughter for the first time, and you haven't seen her in like 5 years. So she's 14, and you're like, oh, I bet all the boys are knocking you guys' door down. That's weird. That's weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that in culture people
why is that where your mind went?
Right.
Why is that where your mind went?
That's weird. Like, have we ever really had that conversation? Like, that's weird.
We have not.
And that's what I'm saying. That's not even super out of pocket. I think most people be like,
that's normalized.
That's normal. But no, that's not normal. That's weird.
Somebody put that in the chat earlier. Like, he gonna be a heartbreaker. Like, why is that where you?
Like you ain't seen her in 5 years. She come as a teenager, and that's the first thing you say. Like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a little weird. I did have one more question before we get ready to wrap up. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, it left me just that
We
quick.
wrap up for real. My
It
mom
left
told
me
me
just
go in
that
the room,
quick.
the creepy uncle. You're gonna get diddled. What did you learn? But what's the creepy uncle?
Why do we have a creepy uncle? See, why do we have a creepy uncle?
Uncles always get.
That's what I think that's the assumption of the unsafety of men. Like you talked about, like the daughter, the
Mhm.
hug, the sitting on laps.
Yeah. There's some unsafe
Where
women
do you
too.
think? Right, there are. Where do you
Mhm.
think this? Are we overly sensitive and overly protective in the wrong places? Because at the same time, here's what I would say: we're hyper aware and hyper vigilant,
Right.
for predatory behavior. In theory, at
Mhm.
the same time, there's an overwhelming amount of predation happening.
Right.
So I think at the same time we're looking, but we're looking for the wrong things.
Yeah.
Because
for
it's still happening. So,
Right.
so I was going to ask a question on the front end, like, do you think we're hypersensitive? I'm like, no, because there's still a high level of predation. But
Yeah.
but it feels like, I guess I want to fine tune the question. Why do you think we're so hyper fixated on sexuality, but still can't notice the predators?
Because okay, let me not say it the way I was.
Wait,
supposed to
hold
say
on,
it.
wait, hold on, wait a minute. I got something for this because you getting ready to say something ignorant.
I'm not
and
finna say something. I was gonna say it.
Nah, you about to say something
No,
ignorant.
I'm sorry. I already decided I was gonna
prepared.
say it.
I got something prepared, and you got to say something ignorant after this. Okay, I got something prepared just for this moment. Just for this moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to witness the incomparable mind of Kawaii Bree.
No, please continue.
Because predators can't recognize other predators. And the highly sexual people don't realize hypersexuality in other people until it reaches a fever pitch. It's the same thing where I say people who grow up in like really unsafe environments have a hard time realizing that they're not safe until it's really, really bad. It's the same thing. If you grow up in a hypersexual situation, you're not gonna notice it until it gets really bad. You don't notice all the subtle stuff going on before that. So it's either that. It's either you're a predator yourself, so you think it's okay, or you grew up in such a hypersexual reality that you're nose blind to all the subtleties that happen before the thing happens. But I promise you, they're happening. And like people who didn't grow up in that see it. They see it happening before the thing even happens. Like, and so it's one or the other. Either you're a predator yourself, or you just grew up in such a hypersexual environment or in such a sexualized environment that you don't realize it's happening.
This has been another moment of brilliance from no one other than Kawaii Bree.
I hate you. Why are you like this? That wasn't even that bad. You thought I was gonna say something worse.
Nah, that was still deep. That
Oh.
was
Yeah,
still deep.
Let me turn this
Either
light down.
you're a predator yourself, or you just are in such an environment that you can't even recognize the predatory behavior. God damn.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Until it's like till it's above. Like if this is the level where the bad stuff happens, most
Yeah.
people realize that when the bad stuff is happening, they're like, "Oh, bad stuff is happening." It's reactive, right? But they don't see
Yeah.
all the grooming, the subtleties,
Yeah.
the inference, the implicit biases that's coming out from what people are saying. Like, "Oh, you must have all the boys knocking down your door when you see a 14-year-old girl." That's an undertone of sexualized language, like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you're just not keen to it if it's normalized. Like if it's normalized, then you can't. Why would you be able to see that? That's the whole problem with grooming. Like it's basically grooming. You know, before anybody's ever touched, they get groomed. And what is the point of grooming? It's so that you are nose blind to all this problematic stuff until they finally get to. By the time they get to doing it, it's happened already.
Yeah. And see, and I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying, JJ. And I'm thinking, like, I think this is what Bree's saying. Like, there's so much of our culture where the kindness is tied to things that are groomy. Like, if I give you a gift, I owe you a hug. Like, here's this. Now, go, come give grandma, grandpa their hug and kiss or whatever it is. there's so much of our kindnesses that we've made physically transactional.
Yeah.
That it's hard to separate or even perceive the grooming nature of people who are trying to put that in. So I think,
or the sexualization behind some of the actions, or like, oh, if I compliment you, you should smile at me and like let me talk to you because I gave you a compliment. So you should give me time to hit on you with a smile.
Right.
You know, like there's just so much baked in that like I do this for you and now you owe me energy.
Yes. There's no room for rejection, which takes us to where we started off with Ty Libra, with that lady getting hit with the brick. There has to be room for rejection, like of your gift,
sexual
your
energy,
time, of any of it. Like I don't even owe you a conversation. I don't owe you to listen to you. So I think
my kids don't owe you a hug.
Yeah,
they don't. They don't have to talk to you if they feel like you're weird, because a lot of times they do. If you say weird things to them, you know what I'm saying. So like a lot of us are groomed like church, you know, like just think about the places where a lot of things happen, like a lot of SA happens to kids, and like just look at that culture and tell me that respectability hasn't been used as a way to groom children to be more compliant, to be able to be SA'd.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that is another word that's getting overused as well. So it's there are people who are actually preying upon people.
Yeah.
And and manipulating and introducing things to people before they would have otherwise for age of appropriateness. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't think kindness is always grooming either. Because I feel like you can't feel that way and like feel safe in the world. Like, and I definitely feel secure like around the people and I go out, like I go to cons, I talk to people. I don't assume everybody who's kind is grooming. Like grooming is very specific, but I do want people to realize that like a lot of what we have been taught, you know, that kids should do. Where did we learn what kids should behave like and how they should be? Where did we learn that? Okay. Who taught us that? And like, was a lot of SA happening in those environments? Then you might want to just like check and see if there's some correlation there. That's all I'm kind of saying. Like,
yeah. I mean, it makes sense. If the places where we have all of the most stringent rules and guidance towards protection of certain populations are having the highest level of activity, you know, like predation, like known, like the Catholic Church, and I would say I could never. If anybody, any of the times I was in a church, if anybody ever said, "Hey, you should be the new youth pastor," I would probably eat myself off of something because I could not
it's
ever.
Like, nope. It always ends up with weird men in small rooms. And I just don't.
If anybody ever said, "Hey, do you want to be the youth pastor?" I'd be like, no.
Yeah. It's weird. And yeah, I can understand like men are getting, but like I'm not saying men because there are predatory women.
Absolutely. That's Bree's whole.
Like everybody talks about the weird uncle and people like, but there's women. I think you see the predatory women. There's some in the family I've had to like, nah, you can't really talk to my daughter. When you gonna let me watch your kids? Never, because you're a predatory woman. And I know that's not language we use a lot, but you can see it. A lot of times they're nice, nasty. I feel like that's a sign. Nice, nasty. Just kind of like they shame a lot. Like when they talk to, you know, do the same thing that the men do. Like, oh, come give me a hug. But because you're a woman, you're like, I'm safe. So why wouldn't your kid not want to hug me? Because I'm not an uncle trying to touch her, you know? But it's like, well, you're mean and you're like not a safe person.
But then they touching your butt or boobs, talking about, oh, you feeling out.
You talking about that, yeah. So you're the same. So I got smoke for both, and I don't let either one around my kids. But I think we don't see what it looks like in women. So that's just some signs of like predatory women, I think.
Greg is crazy.
Greg is crazy.
Greg is crazy. I love it though. But to most people in the same grooming basket is dangerous. We will soon become a no-touch society, antisocial society.
I think if people get scared and like don't learn how to discern, because like I have a very full life with men and women, and I go out, like I don't walk around scared of people. I don't think you have to hear that. If you actually learn how to discern unsafe people, then you actually find that you can navigate the world a little bit better and safer. And I don't think penetration makes a difference between a predator. So you have a problem with understanding, unless someone's doing something to you, it's not an issue. But that's my point. Like, no, there's a lot that happens before that. And penetration isn't like SA and abuse and assault. Don't like penetration is not.
But that's the thing, though. In our culture, that seems to be the dividing line of predatory.
For some people, like that, you can't penetrate. Yeah. That's what I was saying about women are predators too. Like women have, this safe space. Like we're gonna have an all woman space, and because no one can penetrate anyone, it's just inherently safe, and that is false. Like there are predatory women. When you can be harmed by women, you can be assaulted by women. Like it does happen. So I understand it. I think a lot of people believe that, but that's not true.
Getting a little filter when it's not the same as a whole.
Well, in the book of the law, yes, there are different codes of law for those. Yes, I agree. God. But as far as the trouble on the person, not consenting touch, we could do a lot. I mean, let somebody walk up to you in the gas station and slide their hand straight up your crack. Like you would be probably trying to swing on them.
Swiper, no swiping.
Right?
Swiper, no swiping. But there's also hypersensitive, anti-everything type of people. That's true. Winking is not pretty much. There's multiple camps of people, and I think that's one of the issues too. And when I was talking about the individual and collectivism, collectivism would mean we're trying to work as a collective towards a goal. We have a function, a mission, a group that there's certain things laid out. But we have so many individual, like the tribalism. We have so many tribes that are in direct opposition. We have the hypersensitive people. But we also have the anti-hyper people. Like,
right.
You're
just
snowflakes.
Like too permissive. And I was gonna say, like to JJ's point, like in a group we were talking about, a woman was talking about pulling her daughter out of kindergarten because the teacher was a dude. Like,
oh wow.
And we were like, ma'am, go get help. Like, go get help. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of more what you're talking about. And I do see that. Like, just because he's a man, he's assumed a predator because he's a kindergarten teacher, you know? And it's like, I don't think that's fair. So I do agree with that. You can't assume people, especially if they're not doing anything. But I've run across some creepy uncles and they be creepy and they be doing creepy stuff. So if I call somebody a creepy uncle, he was doing creepy stuff. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He didn't just have a penis on a Thursday and now he's a creepy uncle. He was saying creepy shit. They always be saying weird stuff.
Oh shoot, man!
I'm
so glad. Oh my god, I'm so thankful I didn't have a creepy uncle, man. I didn't have any creepy aunties. I didn't have any creepy.
Sometimes they hide it though, because they always know to wait till somebody cut a corner, and you just like by yourself until they say some weird stuff to you. You know what I'm saying? They doing it behind your daddy back, or your mama cut the corner, and now he gonna come up to you and say something weird. You know?
Yeah. I'm thankful I did not have those in my life, man. But I just, according to all the women that have been in my life, like friends and family, it's bad out here.
It is. Like as soon as you like 12, you get hit on. Like I'm never gonna pretend it's not happening.
I will never forget, because I think this was the last time I hung with this specific group of dudes. There was these girls walking up towards the high school, and I think I was around 25 at the time. Somewhere between 20 and 25, and they was looking at these girls and they said something. I was like, what? I don't know. I said something to them like, yeah, them was kids, man. Get out of here. I don't know. They said, so I can't even remember because it's been so long, but I'm like, man, I couldn't believe that they were actually looking at these kids. Yeah. And I know it was high school and they starting to develop and everything, but I'm like, those are clearly, they're not our age.
That's what I'm saying. I you know, my kid's 14. I take her to school and I'd be like, I ain't seen a high schooler yet, even with boobs or whatever. I'm like, that's clearly still a young. I always say, like, because she's like in 8th grade, and I'd be like, the difference between the middle schoolers, because we were sitting there watching the kids come out. I was like, middle schoolers look like big kids. Like they still look very much like kids, but they're just big. And then like when they're in high school, they look like small adults, like adults, but smaller. Good way to say it. You know? Yeah. You're laughing at this. I'm like, yeah, I ain't never seen one yet.
I'm gonna tell you, Bree, there are some. Like in the face, I've seen some. There's some old in the face. Because there was this girl, she's like, this girl go to school. I'm like, I thought that was a teacher. Because she looked old. Now I felt bad. I was like, I thought she was 40. I thought she was
Right.
40. And the clothes she was wearing, she just looked like
Mhm.
somebody's mom. She was somebody's mom, but she was a kid, and I was like, wow,
Unfortunately,
that's messed up.
Greg, we are aware that they're out there as soon as we turn like 12. We know. We already know. We already know because they already done start hitting on us and looking at us weird in the store and doing stuff behind our parents' back. We already know. We really do. And that's what I'm saying. She knows. That's why we were having a Barbie movie for all the shit the Barbie movie did wrong and didn't address. Like, I think my daughter really identified with that like part when Barbie went to the real world, like coming of age, and suddenly people are being weird. When it was not even a thought in your mind, and you don't even think about it. But like people are suddenly like being weird to you. So
Absolutely, Quantum. Somebody mentioned that earlier too. Somebody said that. I think it was Chris Classic said that happened to him. It's crazy. Crazy. Said, did you give your daughter a knife?
No, she be with us. She got pepper spray though.
Oh, that's what's up.
But she really don't go nowhere by herself. Like
Yeah.
I pick her up from school. And she gonna be out here like that. She's a little gamer. She like anime. She be at the house.
That's what's up.
So she don't really go out like that. But yeah, thanks for letting us go into that extra tangent. I know you're trying to wrap up like 54 minutes.
No, it was only because I thought we had talked about that part, but no, we hadn't really talked about the women's side. But that's not something I'm competent in. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I'm actually, it's still invisible to me because of the training in my mind is still men. Men are predatory, and the stuff that women do, I see also as harmless because of the penetration thing. Like so, but psychologically, I can still see it as being harmful, especially now that I'm an adult and I'm seeing stuff like the bruh therapist who's cultivating her crowd and followers to her harem, her sex dungeon. And then I see Princella, cultivating her crowd of anti-men to now she's lesbian. So I see
not safe.
They're not.
They're not safe.
Not safe.
And as soon as no men around, they're gonna step up to the plate to be the apex predator that they are.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
They're both functionally eliminating the men so that they can have the women to themselves. It's like, wow. And one of them's allegedly straight.
Supposedly. She ain't.
Yeah.
This week.
I mean,
I'm waiting on
I'm
waiting on the TikTok. I'm just waiting on that. Oh guys, I found out I'm whatever. I'm just waiting. It's coming. Because she never liked men. She never liked them.
She did.
And contrary to believe, you can't be a straight woman and just decide one day you like women. Then you was never straight. That's all I'm gonna say.
Quantum, that's happened to a lot of people. Matter of fact, when I was young. I was too young to babysit my little sister. And the girl, nothing happened. But the girl that was babysitting, and it was from my mom's church, because she was an older teenager. She locked me out the house at one point, said I couldn't come in unless I ate her out. I mean, nothing happened.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
Jesus.
That kind of stuff. That stuff happens, and
I believe you. Jesus Christ, be offense. Ooh. Ooh.
So,
oh my God.
But she had a wild life after that.
Yeah, I'm not shocked.
Wild life. I think it was like 4 kids ended up getting shot in a wheelchair. Like she had a rough life after that.
Oh.
Yeah. Where were these women at? I couldn't even get a jiggle. Yeah, man, there's jiggles to be had in the hood. So you said you weren't in the hood. You were in a poor area, but it wasn't the hood. There's a lot of hypersexuality in the hood.
Yeah, the hood culture is very hypersexual. That's like one of the things. That's like one of
Oh, you froze for me. Can y'all hear Bree? Or did she freeze for y'all too? She's still frozen. I'm assuming
back. Okay, there you go. Back. Yeah, every once in a while. But yeah, I was gonna say the music, especially that a lot of people listen to, ain't helping, and it does correlate to high sexual risk behaviors and hypersexuality.
Because you had a quantitative analysis.
I did have a qualitative analysis.
Qualitative. Yes. I say quantitative. What you know?
You said quantitative, but I did a qualitative. Yes.
Qualitative. Cool.
I did. Yeah. So I actually did study this stuff. And this is something I'm still passionate about to this day, even though I'm not in research anymore. So yeah.
I would say, just to wrap up, that is something, because I mean, to the WAPification, the whole ratchet culture, a lot of people think that this music does not the drill rap, the lean rappers, the dot pockets that Bree's talking about, the dot pockets. Yeah,
that's what my husband call them.
Dot pockets. Yeah, all of them, the Wobsters, the Ratchets, the City Girls, all of that stuff. It's influencing people. It's influencing people.
That's
And
where
I know
we learn. That's where we know this. We know our kids because we're not talking about sexuality with our children. Most kids, teenagers learn about sex through media. That's their first exposure to sex is media, some sort of media. What it is now may be different, but it's some sort of media. So you have to think if this is the media they're listening to, they're learning something about sex through this media because most parents ain't talking about it.
Yeah. And as usual, Greg, you're not saying what I'm about to say. You're saying. I know that was very convoluted. Now you completely reject music as the issue, but I'm over defending maybe because none of us said that music was the issue. So
it's not the issue. Yeah. It's a part of the issue. But
it's an influence.
Music is part of culture.
Yeah.
Music is a part of culture, and the culture is the issue. But music is a big aspect of that, especially for like young Black girls. Like, music is definitely a big part of it. I mean, and now maybe TV. You got the Real House. TV more so like reality TV. Social media is definitely in there, but music is definitely a problem. Like, it definitely influences how people have a relationship to sex.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know why you would reject that,
but he also says as the issue. Like, because there is no one to pin anything on. Unfortunately, everything's a nice little soup. It's a ratatouille.
It's all soup. Mixed together. And you can only study each aspect, but I mean, that's just one of them. So.
Because I know some people from the suburbs had 2 parents. They didn't have a history of sexual assault in their family in childhood, but they still came out as adults being crazy. But where did it come from?
Why did
they gravitate towards this?
It's media.
They had to see it somewhere. Yeah.
He's saying there's no casual link. Like causal link. Well, correlation doesn't prove causation.
Right.
We already know that. So the cause is a little bit more hard to find. But studying for Black females and pre-adolescents going into adolescence, it definitely is a correlation there. So I ain't talking about white kids. I specifically said young Black females. So,
but even if you separate out poverty, if you separate out income,
right,
then you start to see some of those things emerge. So I mean,
if I wasn't afraid to dox myself, because I don't want y'all knowing my government name, I could post the study. But we definitely did the sample. If you could read it, I shared it with some people in the Discord. But
her name is Rachel Dolezal. Check her out. She's Googleable. Rachel
you consider
Dolezal.
all of that when you're doing it, when you're interviewing these people to find things. Once again, this was qualitative. Eventually, I think it was eventually used for quantitative studies by my mentor. But once again, don't know what the white kids over there doing. That's not who I studied. So I don't really be
that's what's up.
Worried about them.
The apple falling from the tree is not always a true statement. Correlation, sure. But if it's not causal, that's false.
That is so false. Then all of research, all of statistical data would be moot. Research would be moot. If we're gonna say that would be crazy. You just being crazy now. That's the whole point. There's a correlation.
McDonald's didn't cause my obesity, but man, if it's not related, if it in no way related, my diet, the stuff I'm eating, the content, that's hilarious. But
that's quite a statement. Not related.
It is a big strong statement. But Greg is also anti the psychological, no sociology. He's anti a lot of theory. He's very concrete with a lot of things. It's got to be a 1-to-1.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I get it.
Yeah. He said
all statistical research is moot. See?
Okay, well, if you feel that way, then the conversation is done. Because that's fine. Then I'm talking about something you don't believe in. So just treat it like you're not a Christian.
No, it doesn't. Causal means it's the cause. It causes. It causes the effect.
Right. But just treat it like if I was sitting here talking about something you don't believe in. Like if you didn't believe in God and I was talking, you could just feel free to just ignore everything I said. So if you don't believe in statistical data, you don't support that, then I'm not going to sit here and go back and forth with you because you're just rejecting a whole school of thought that I'm speaking from. So you can't comment on what I'm saying and I can't deny what you're saying.
Yeah, you can't.
So
it
kind of
even correlation. Because even correlation is to establish a mutual relationship or connection between. Have a mutual relationship or connection. That's correlate. Causal is relating to or acting as a cause. Relationship is necessary for correlation because it's built in. You can't have a correlation without a relation. And causal is another relationship, but it's a relationship that directly causes the effect. Like, so there's a relationship.
But if he doesn't believe also in statistical data, he's not going to accept that. So once again, that's just like me. If somebody say they don't believe in God, great. I'm going to still say what I have to say. And I'm speaking from a school of thought you don't believe in. So feel free to ignore everything I'm saying. That doesn't mean you're right. It just means you don't believe in the school of thought I'm speaking from. So, but you can't sit there and tell me I'm what I'm saying is wrong because I'm speaking from a school of thought you don't believe in. So I'm not going to sit here and argue semantics if we're not going to speak from the realm of statistical data. Because I'm speaking from statistics. So that's what but you're not speaking from there. So it can mean whatever you want it to mean. You know what I'm saying? So we not going to do that.
Yeah, I got you. But Bree, man, I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm so glad you're back. Did you look up my government name yet? Let me look that up. Hold up. Because it was...
What she say, the Chanelica?
Chanelica Betancourt. Oh, Lion Court is what it was. Okay, Chanelica Betancourt was.
No, it's Betancourt. Lestat is Lion Court.
Yeah, that's why when I first looked at it, I thought she was trying to be a Lion Court. Don't you have Lion Court on your shirt?
Yeah, I got Lestat, my toxic vampire bae on my shirt.
Oh, not the Puerto Rican princess. You are not
is that
the
her?
Puerto Rican.
I was like, where I heard that name before. Sorry, this shit is so bad. Like they need something less than this, but like
Stevie.
Chanelica. That's
you're not going to blame me. You're not going to blame me, Stevie. No, Stevie.
That's quite a name. Show the people.
Show the peoples.
We all know who Jocelyn Hernandez is. But no, it's been fun to be back. I'm excited to be back. I got my new computer. I got a temporary setup. I am not where I'm gonna be. But I'm happy to be back and have some good internet more than anything. So yes,
appreciate it. Give us some final words. I mean, now I picked this up. Okay, I guess this is a conversation that I'm doing publicly, but I mean,
that was fine.
I pick up a lot of things because of what I've observed. Do you like the whole little final thoughts thing? Is that something you like? Is that something?
If I have one, I'll say it. If I don't, I'll just say something random. Because sometimes I don't really know what that means. Like. Does that mean like tell us what you got going on? Does that mean like what do you think about what we talked about? Does that mean like a random thought that's in your head? Because it could be any of those for me. So what does it mean? I have a thought in my head, but is it like a final thought though? Does it have to be relevant?
Nah, I mean you can talk about
because I'm thinking about snot right now because that's what I feel.
Okay, talk about snot. What's the viscosity?
I don't have to talk. It's I'm sick. So
So is it thick? Is it thick and chunky?
It's very thick. It's not chunky. We don't use chunky to describe. For me, okay. Now you want some final thoughts? Do not use chunky to describe body fluids ever again. Like for me, I don't want to hear about chunky discharge, pee, maybe poop, but that's not body fluid. It's poop. You know what I'm saying? We don't describe snot, spit is chunky. Like, is there any body fluid that could come out of your body that if somebody said it was chunky, you wouldn't be like, name me one. I'm just saying. Sperm. I mean, it would just be bad. So don't use chunky. Words matter. Adjectives matter. Don't use chunky to describe snot. That's a good final thought. And I'll be streaming on Twitch. I'll be gaming on Twitch again since I got a new computer. My brother is the best. I'm the youngest child and the only girl, and he built me a computer, guys. It's very nice. It's very pretty. So I'll be streaming my games on there. He gave me a monitor too, which is really nice. So, you know, Big Brother always giving me
Chunky
nice
Skeet.
things. You say Chunky Skeet? I just never mind. That's growth. See, I'm cruising right on into getting closer to 40. Real nice. See how I just stop? Impulsive thoughts, intrusive thoughts, just stop. I've just learned to do that recently. That's my newest skill.
No,
yeah.
Quantum. Puffy Cat.
Puffy Cat. That's where that shirt
Puffy
comes
Cat.
from. That shirt has
Puffy Cat.
lore behind it. That's why Rashawn wears it, because he like Puffy Cat.
I like being inside Puffy Cat.
I don't think you like being inside Puffy Cat. That was where the whole shirt, because the whole point, the whole conversation.
Well, because y'all
with
have a
Puffy
different
Cat came
connotation for Puffy Cat. See,
Puffy
Puffy Cat to y'all was like chunky.
Swollen.
Like
Like swollen. Like
No, I mean, but
edema.
it's swollen.
Edema.
It's swollen, but there's probably something chunky going on the inside.
If she
Like,
got
it
edema,
sounded infected.
yeah, she got edema. She definitely got chunks in there.
So I'm talking about like it's just like meaty, fupa.
What meaty
Not enough
fupa?
words in chat. I just you need to. Never mind.
Meaty. I don't like meaty either.
I mean,
I don't like meaty.
Listen,
I have very
there's nothing
specific visual in my head when you said it. It just came.
So no
like,
chunky, no meaty.
Because I just think beef curtains.
Beef curtains. See now that's
But
like
beef
that's
is
literal meaty. But
But
that's
beef-
literal meaty. I don't mean literally meaty.
But you
I mean
said
like
meaty.
figuratively fleshy.
Isn't beef meaty?
But no, god dang it, never mind.
Exactly. See
Not
what I'm
enough words
saying?
in chat. Rashawn hit the digress Discord. I sent you a link. Got you.
A fat cooter. See, Puff is swelling. See, Ty's in the
Yeah.
medical field too. So
See?
Ty's in the medical field. So for us, that has
Non-infected.
one thing. Yeah, that's one thing. Your brother's kindness was kindness and love, not gloomy. You see
Yeah.
my point. Oh yeah, I have a lot of kind men around me. That's why I say, like, when you hear me say that, trust, I'm not. I have male friends. I get along with my brothers very well. I'm married. I have a lot of males around me who I truly think are safe people and are really kind people, including people in Rashawn's community. I don't know about, some of them, but some of them are all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said pause.
Pause.
See, this when the chat
Pause.
go wild. You know what I'm saying?
Pause.
Because you start talking about Puffy Cat, beef curtains,
Yeah.
chunky body fluids. It's like, hold on.
Thick and chunky. Thick and
Yeah.
chunky.
And
Yeah,
trust me,
so-
I've seen more vagina than all of y'all in the chat. Okay.
Yeah.
I win.
But you saw it in a very specific state. You didn't see it
It's
like
still-
as attractive.
It's never, that's how I knew I was straight. No,
I
there's
couldn't
ways.
imagine.
It was a journey.
That's
of getting
horrible.
there.
I could not
feel like you
work
have
in labor
to.
and delivery. Oh,
No, but it didn't really, it didn't bother me until I was pregnant because, you get hormonal, your estrogen levels go up. And I just, I couldn't tolerate anything. I would just go down there and I was just like, and it just made me want to throw up, like just looking at it.
Oh.
Just gross. And it like lasted for a while after I had the baby too. I was like, they're like, why you looking like that? Because I'm finna throw up looking at this vagina. It's disgusting.
Got to go.
So I agree, Bree. Exactly. So yeah.
Yeah, when you get older, you find out some stuff. Because I remember in high school, and I'll wrap up here. In high school, my dream was to become a gynecologist.
Oh,
because I thought it would just give you access. Yeah, I know that's problematic. I know it's deeply problematic.
That's
As an
how
adult,
y'all
I
are.
understand.
But that's how
But
y'all
as I learned more about things, when I learned about stuff like the discharges and why something like not just the regular checkups, but some of the reasons you might go to the gynecologist, I was like, I could never.
Yeah, because you would be skewed. Your
Could
data would be
never.
very skewed because the people who coming to
Never.
you, you know what I'm saying? You're not even the people who coming to you. It's usually something wrong down there.
Yeah,
Your data
at
would be
least
so
3/4 of them
skewed.
got a problem. At least 3/4 got a problem.
Right. Exactly. So
I couldn't do that. What a horrible existence.
No,
Ugh.
I don't think. But see, if they're not hypersexual, they can do that job and
just
they
be
won't even
detached.
they just
And
be
be
there.
detached.
And you are, because you're trying to fix people. You ain't even thinking about it like that. You're just like, I'm just here in some push trying to figure out what's wrong with this person. And you're not thinking about it like that. So yeah,
Hey,
don't pick
listen, JJ.
hypersexual doctors.
I know. That's why I didn't go that path, because that's not a sustaining motivation for certain career paths, and not No.
You said yikes. I know they knew. JJ's new here. Okay.
Yeah,
He's done
and
a lot
thank
of
you,
shadow
JJ.
work. Yeah.
Thank you,
he's done a
JJ.
lot of
I saw you in the chat. Not that one. Not that one. I should have started. But you had mentioned, yeah, there you go. Your first live, a lot of things covered. The chat environment was very welcoming. I appreciate both Rashawn and Bree for your conversation. Absolutely, JJ. You're always welcome here. We appreciate the chat. We love the chat. Still on the line from Brother C. The chat is where it's at. I came from the chat. I was a chat troll.
Bees in the chat.
Yeah, so that's my favorite thing. I like talking and having a conversation with the chat and to the chat. So, man, I'm glad you were here. Appreciate you. Definitely enjoyed your presence and all the other new people that came today. I had at least 4 new subs today during the stream. So, thank all of y'all that came through. I know there was Sunkissed. There was Sunkissed. We had the big donation from I don't want to say the name that was in
fake account.
Fake account. Thank
you.
Yeah. Thank you. The fake account, man. With I really appreciate the Cash App love. Got a new convert. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate all of y'all. Honestly, nobody's thinking about fucking when I puss with trick. Trichognosis.
Trichognosis. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And on that note.
Yeah. We going into the STI. Oh, you want to give out your disclaimer about was it Houston?
Yeah, you forget always. Yeah, syphilis is up, guys. Houston, y'all be on the lookout, but everywhere. Super gonorrhea is out here. Atlanta's like a third world country. Facebook reminded me that like 5 years ago, I posted that Atlanta was like a third world country as far as STI rates. And syphilis is going up. Prenatal syphilis is up 800%, guys. So, get checked. Learn the signs of syphilis. It can be transmitted if person has active sores and you touch them. So y'all need to know what they look like and be safe out here. She said, on that note, I'm out.
On that note, yeah. Get an STI test before you fuck.
Get an STI test, and also you need to get an STI test 3 months after you screw somebody because HIV levels can be too low to be caught early on. So you need to be getting tested at least after new partners, and you need to also realize that if you have HIV, it will not show up for about 2 or 3 months on the test. So get tested frequently, often, and stay safe.
All right. Well, last thing I'll say is thank you, Bree. Thank you, Bree. And I will see y'all next time. Peace. Oh, wait, last thing. We'll be back here Wednesday. Now, we'll be back here next Monday, 5 p.m. Me and Yellow will be here Thursday. I don't know if Bree's going to be there or not. We never know with Bree. Sometimes she's here, sometimes she's not.
But we don't know.
Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern for Barcade. Party Games will be here Wednesday. And I think I have something else scheduled, but I'll figure that out. But look out. I got thumbnails posted for the next week or so. I'll see y'all.
So, what is this ism?
Here's the answer to your problems. Dr. Utopia's sensational new discovery, ism. Ism will cure any ailment of the body politic. It's terrific. It's tremendous. Once you swallow the contents of this bottle, you'll have the bountiful benefit of higher wages, shorter hours, and security. Enormous profits, no strikes. Remember, you're the big boss.
You know how long the ism been around?
Yeah.
The ism probably been around longer than the Illuminati. But we have different rituals. It's always a ritual to a secret society that we live in. Ism is a secret society. It's a culture. It's a vernacular.
When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you expand your awareness of yourself. When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you understand how you can navigate in this bitch. This fucking weird-ass world that is so hard on y'all. Like, let's acknowledge that the world is very difficult for y'all, but y'all are not making it any easier, bruh. You're not. You might not like my fucking delivery, but motherfuckers is starting to talk, shaking the tables. I don't give a fuck.
Not a good day, okay? Now back to that one.
Shaking the table.
Oh my God, she's so hot.